Can you guys hear me? Ryan, can you hear me? If you can comment and tell me. Ooh, Ryan, say something. I hear something. Patrick, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear?
Oh, yeah. So you can hear me, but you can't hear Ryan.
Hear me? Ryan, can you hear me?
So I wanted Ryan to be able to do something. Here's Katie. Katie! I don't think... Oh, you muted yourself, so I can't unmute you. Did you guys see how busy the show is right now? We've got Katie booked everybody today, all the good stuff. There was nobody we could bump because it was all good. Ryan, keep working on figuring out how to unmute yourself. I think Ryan's frozen. Ryan, are you frozen or are you just like very pensive? Let's see here. Oh, hold on. There was nobody we could bump because it was all good. Ryan, keep working on figuring out how to unmute yourself. I think, Katie, did I get you? Say something.
Hello.
Yeah, okay. Ryan, we're gonna get Ryan back in the studio and get him working. Normally we don't normally we just mute our microphones and then you see this thing here.
Immense financial means to do so. Contact that.
That's the actual station. So normally we just mute our microphones and sometimes we forget to mute our microphones and that is always where it gets interesting. So we have Judge Napolitano on at 12:25, which is exciting because Judge Napolitano was on Fox earlier this morning talking about Judge Napolitano was talking about the McCloskeys and the Second Amendment rights, and I'll just give you a heads up here. He was like, the only problem with all of this is the fact that Kim Gardner is charging anybody in the first place. Like, that's ridiculous. So we'll have Judge Napolitano on. We have Eric Schmitt, the Missouri Attorney General. He's going to be on at 2:25. So that's you're going to have to, if you want to hear both sides of that, well, it's not both sides. They're both pretty much on the same side. You're going to need to stick around for 2:25 or come back or follow us on radio.com and you'll get to see it on the rewind. We've got, I have to print out the page here. This is what I'm usually doing behind the scenes before the show starts, is printing things out like mad. Maybe who else do we have here? We've got Marc Cox and Jim Carafano as usual. So they will be on with us. Marc is on at 1 o'clock and Carafano is on at 1:40. Oh, and the Illinois House Minority Leader. So Mike Madigan is the Majority Leader, obviously. And the leader of the Republicans in the House, Jim Durkin, is on at 2 o'clock. And I'm really excited to talk about that because there's so much going on right now in state politics on both sides of the aisle. This is my printer, if you can hear my printer. Do you ever watch these things? People making weird stuff. Katie, you ever watch these? They're like weird things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't want to watch it, but I can't stop watching it.
But I will. Yeah, once it starts, I'm not going to stop.
Patrick says there's an echo. I wonder, Katie, are you hearing me? You think it's echoing through yours? Okay, hold on a second. I just muted you. Hey, guys, did that fix the echo since I muted Katie? You have to tell me. So lots going on today, and we're going to try to go through this show as fast as we can and get the most information in. But if you are joining us now on the Facebook Live or on the YouTube Live, it's funny that I said that this is the Ryan Wiggins pre-show spectacular, and Ryan's not even there. Where did he go? It did. Dean says it did. So, Katie, if you hold on a second.
Katie, you're unmuted. Are you talking to Ryan on there?
Yeah.
I'm here.
He's telling me through the access that he's here.
I wonder if maybe turning my rate distance.
So I kind of talked about this last time, but every day Katie puts together this sheet for me. This has 21 cuts of sound that I can play. The subjects today are Kayleigh McEnany's press briefing today, which was pretty great. Schools reopening, the McCloskeys, we're going to talk about that a lot. We're going to talk about the McCloskey's with Judge Napolitano at 12:25. So that's just going to happen here in about 20 minutes. And then with the Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt at 2:25. So we're going to talk about that at least twice today. I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions on it. Make sure you comment here on the Facebook Live or on the YouTube Live, wherever you're watching with us. Participate in the conversation. It helps us ask questions too. If you ask questions, good questions in the comments, we often ask them. Tucker Carlson said something last night on his show that the New York Times was basically going to dox him, that they had to actually pick up their family and move. That pissed me off, I gotta say. Sorry for the French there, but when he's talking about this, it really, really irked me and made me sad. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. More COVID stuff. I mean, Katie, we've had a COVID section on the page for 4 or 5 months now, right? Like, it's never ending.
It is. It's been on there for quite some time.
Go ahead.
It's been on there for just quite some time. Ever since March, there's new information, new data that's constantly coming out. Masks, no masks. We talked about that a lot yesterday. I mean, it's just a never ending. It's a never ending debate over what we should be doing about COVID.
So, okay.
There's a better way to do this, but thank you, Katie. And then Katie always has like this extra column, and the extra column can have funny things in it, silly things in it. There's almost like a rule now that there has to be like a Kanye thing in it, but not today. Thanks. Because Kanye keeps doing weird stuff. So that's kind of how we go here. And then I have the sound to play on my computer that's right. This computer right here. I play my sound off of that. This is normally the show sheet. I should not put that up there. And then this is the cut sheet from yesterday. So I just have to replace that and with the new stuff. So let me print that off real quick here. All right, we're going to get started with the show here in just a minute. So thanks for joining us. We're going to get Ryan Wiggins back in the room, and we're going to get started with the show. So comment along, participate in the show. We love having you. I'm going to mute this and put
Mission. They are a family and will serve you as if you were one of their own. With 5 convenient locations, others can't compete with Complete. CompleteAB.com.
David Linehan doesn't just crack the mold. David Linehan completely shatters it. David Linehan is as rare as he is unique among those who seek our vote. David Linehan is an experienced job creator, creating hundreds of high-paying, family-supporting jobs right here in St. Louis. David Linehan knows that a good-paying job with benefits is essential as the first step to economic security. David Linehan refuses to accept unsafe neighborhoods. David stands with us for law and order. He knows we should never fear to walk in our neighborhoods, and that such fear is an obstacle to a better future. David Linehan is a true constitutional conservative who believes in the rule of law, that our national and state governments have been created to protect our freedoms, our property rights, and our right to self-determination. Let's dare to break the mold and raise our expectations with Republican David Linehan for State Senate. Paid for by Citizens for a Better District 1, Marc S. Vincent, Treasurer.
They're lurking in your basement, in the garage, unwanted appliances. But how do you get rid of them? Most haulers charge you money, but not D&D Free Appliance Hauling. Just call D&D at 314-249-2951 to schedule your free pickup. D&D Free Appliance Hauling will come to your home and remove your unwanted washers, dryers, fridges, stoves, dishwashers, and freezers fast. And D&D Free Appliance Hauling, serving St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Lincoln County, and the surrounding areas. When you want to get rid of your unwanted appliances, don't pay for it. Call D&D Free Appliance Hauling and let them come pick it up free. 314-249-2951. 314-249-2951. 314-249-2951. D&D Free Appliance Hauling. 314-249-2951.
You can stream 97.1 FM Talk anytime. Visit radio.com or download the radio.com app for your phone so you can punch a button and be tuned in to 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Right? You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
People in positions of law enforcement and with law degrees have a better idea of what's legal and what's not legal there, and whether brandishing your weapon is okay or it's not. And I'll let that play out in the courts. But I think it is important to highlight the fact that that image of the McCloskey standing outside of their home with their weapons out is going to be a rallying cry on both sides of the aisle, just as Jillian said there. And it's something that President Trump and his Republican backers can use to animate those that vote on the Second Amendment. That is a huge demographic of Republican voters. And on the left, there are people who are going to be saying, why do folks need to have weapons like this? You don't need this to protect your home, certainly. And these protesters were not coming up them to attack them. They were not defiling their home in any way, etc. So this is going to be a political football.
So, okay, Jessica Tarloff, you just said it right there. The first thing that she mentioned, of course, they're talking about the McCloskeys in St. Louis. St. Louis, you have made national news again. Everybody's talking about you. Yeah. So she says there that this is going to be a political football. You're darn right it is, because if you're a Second Amendment supporter, what are you going to vote for? This is the most outrageous overreach of a prosecutor, to the point that the president of the United States was briefed on it again this morning and is like, basically, Kim Gardner's nuts. So we're going to speak with Judge Napolitano here in 15 minutes or so, because he's going to come on at 12:25. And he's going to give us the law part of this. Because if you heard Jessica Tarloff there, she's like, I'll let the legal experts and the lawyers and discuss what the law is around this. And then in comes the pundit that is Jessica Tarloff. She's a leftist that she's outnumbered. I really do respect those people. Like, if I went on to MSNBC and was resident conservative, young conservative commentator, then I would hope that there'd be people out there who, even on the left, would look at me and be like, yeah, she doesn't stand a chance. She goes into onto the battlefield every day, and she participates, and good on her for that, because Fox News is actually bringing people on who have dissenting opinions and allowing them time to talk. She goes on to talk about how the Republicans are going to use this as a political football. Well, excuse me, but I fail to see anything that exists now in space that isn't first and foremost a political football for either side of the aisle. So it's not to say that the McCloskey's situation shouldn't be concerned in politics, because the number one way that people like Jessica Tarloff and those who are out to get your Second Amendment rights actually do get them is by getting elected, is by getting people like Kim Gardner into office who are actually willing to go and prosecute something to charge the McCloskeys with what they did. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't actually do anything that is even breaking of the law. And we'll get Judge Napolitano to break it down here in about a little less than 15 minutes. But then she goes on to say the thing that drives me bonkers when I hear the left say it. She said, a lot of people are going to say, why do the McCloskeys need those guns? Maybe because they've got people that don't belong on their property, on their front yard, on a private street. Yes, it's a private street. It's paid for by the HOA. They had no right to be there. They were trespassing. That's just facts, folks. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Truth over fact or something. However you sleep at night. When you have people who are coming onto your property and threatening you, I'm sure that there are people who have threatened in a less frightening scenario than the McCloskeys were frightened on that day, who maybe met the end of a gun in a more profound way than the McCloskeys did. You cannot conflate the trigger control lacking that the McCloskeys had with their right to be on their porch using those weapons. They could have done it better, but that doesn't mean that they lose their Second Amendment right to protect their home and their life and their pets and their property. Castle Doctrine says it in the state of Missouri. We're going to speak with Eric Schmitt, who is the Missouri Attorney General, at 2:25, and he's going to talk about how he's interjecting him. When we talked to him last time, he was like, well, you know, you got to understand there's a separation. He's not separating it anymore because there's a charge. He's going to step in, and we're going to talk with Eric Schmitt about that at 2:25. So I want you to stick around for that. We're going to get the law from Judge Napolitano at 12:25 and the Attorney General at 2:25. When you listen to the way Jessica Tarloff here, who is a leftist talking point, the way she explains her side, her political side of this issue is, why do these people need these guns anyway?
But that's trespassing, right?
But Jillian's exactly
the fact that they
it is. Listen,
access,
Tim Gardner
we're looking at the
and
broken
law
gate
officials.
right now.
Yeah, people in positions of law enforcement and with law degrees have a better idea of what's legal and what's not legal there.
Which is all that
and whether
matters.
Brandishing your weapon is okay or it's not, and I'll let that play out in the courts. But I think it is important to highlight the fact that that image of the McCloskeys standing outside of their home with their weapons out is going to be a rallying cry on both sides of the aisle, just as Jillian said there. And it's something that President Trump and his Republican backers can use to animate those that vote on the Second Amendment. That
Darn
is a huge demographic of Republican voters. And on the left, there are people who are going to be saying, why do folks need to have weapons like this? You don't need this to protect your home, certainly. And
that's exactly, oh my gosh, that is exactly what they were doing. If those two individuals would have gone and stayed inside of their homes, is it possible that those protesters would have come into that home? And if you just saw Captain Dorn, a man who served his city with dignity and with respect, get gunned down in front of a store just the other day. And if you saw buildings going up in flames, and you've looked all around the country, and police have not been able to show up in time and not been empowered enough to act to stop this nonsense, what were they supposed to do? Jessica Tarloff here just said that they weren't protecting
those that vote on the Second Amendment. That is a huge demographic of Republican voters. And on the left, there are people who are going to be saying, why do folks need to have weapons like this? You don't need this to protect your home, certainly.
You don't need this to protect your home. I will add in here, in case Jessica Tarloff didn't see the end, where the McCloskeys, A, were still alive, and B, outside of the private property that was owned by the HOA. Their property was not destroyed. Does what the McCloskeys were holding have anything to do with the fact that that was the end result? I have a feeling that it does. Make no mistake about what is taking place in our country right now. Jessica Tarloff is actually saying, and I say I'm calling her out, but you could go on message boards and comment threads anywhere, and you will see the same thing over and over and over again. What do they need those guns for? To protect their homes from a mob that was willing to come onto private property for a purpose. It was designed. It was pre-designed. It was planned. Jessica Tarloff has a problem with the Second Amendment, not with the McCloskeys. And that is what you need to understand. And she's absolutely right. When you go to vote in November, you need to remember these words. And you need to know that they are much bigger than one pundit on Outnumbered on Fox News on July 21st at around 11:40. This is what they believe. They believe that the guns in the hands of the McCloskeys are unnecessary. They believe that you exercising your Second Amendment looks scary, therefore it shouldn't exist, or it should be massively pulled back. That is not an America I want to live in. It's not an America that I know that a lot of you are going to comply with. Kind of one of those cold dead hands moments. When you hear the left speaking that way and saying this in a very straightforward, in plain sight way of saying you don't need to have these guns, then you need to hear what they're saying and take it for exactly what it is. Let's get caller Mike on here right now, real quick before we take a break. Mike, thanks for calling the show.
So I kind of have a problem with the narrative, the way things are kind of like pivoting with the situation. One, we're saying that it's okay for someone to say that they're scared. Don't call the police, leave their house, go outside with guns.
The police were notified, Mike.
The
police were notified. They weren't there.
So when you're scared, you get a gun against people who are protesting. Like, these weren't thugs, but they wasn't vandalizing. They didn't destroy any property.
Mike, when do they become? No, Mike, because they were on private property.
I'm not refuting it. No, I'm not refuting it. What I'm saying is,
you can't discount it.
But they wasn't on their personal property. The McCloskeys were on their own. They were on their own property.
They were McCloskeys were standing on their porch, a stone's throw away from people who were threatening them.
Walking towards
on private property. Those protesters did not have a right to be there. I understand protesting. I understand protest. Listen though, Mike, I appreciate you calling in, and I'm not going to hang up on you. We'll finish this conversation respectfully, but you can't discount the fact that those protesters knowingly chose to go onto private property and shout threats at the McCloskeys. The McCloskeys were on their property and they did not use those guns, but those guns did help protect their property. I would assume that it could have gone
I just want to be clear. I'm not refuting that they were on private property.
Yeah. Mike, your signal's busting up, and I want to keep you. So if you can get a clear signal here real quick to finish your point. All right, Mike, let's maybe we've got such a big show. Mike, call back at 12:40, and we can finish this conversation because we got to go because Judge Napolitano is coming up next. There's probably more to that, and we can have that discussion. And Mike, 314-241-9797 if you want to call back and be on hold until we can get to you. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to ask Judge Napolitano these questions. And, if you keep hearing something, if you want to defend the McCloskeys, if you want to say the McCloskeys were completely in the wrong, explain to me what you're hearing. Explain to me what you're thinking in a comment on Facebook or on our YouTube live right now. And we'll try to work it in and hear what Judge Napolitano has to say about that, because this situation is crazy. Like, I cannot believe that I'm seeing with my eyes what I feel like the Democrats have been trying to do in the back room for a long time. It is in plain sight for people to see right now. Judge Napolitano when we come back.
Maybe you'll find something that's enough to keep you. But if the bright lights don't receive you, you should turn yourself around and come on home.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
I got a hole in me now.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Hi, this is Dave with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. I'll buy it, or my team of agents can help you sell it. I can pay cash and close in as little as 3 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and any location in St. Louis. I am a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast, call me at 314-293-3000. That's 314-293-3000.
All right, Air Comfort Service has outdone themselves. They came out to my house yesterday, and it turned out that there was a capacitor out or something. Sounds technical. I don't know how they fixed it, but they did. And it was super easy to get somebody out to my home because we woke up and the house was almost 80 degrees and the air was blowing, but it was not cool. If you are having air conditioner problems right now at your home, don't put it off. You want to get this taken care of before the problem gets worse. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Marc came out to our house. I think I made the phone call, or my husband called him after 9. He was out and working on the house before 11:30, and he did a great job. He took care of the problem, and he was on his way. You can have your house back to cooling right away with Air Comfort Service. 314-513-0091. If you need more than what I did, they have wonderful promotions, rebates, and opportunities, and they will set you up from the get-go to make sure you get the best possible outcome. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Hi, this is Lance Drury. If you have payroll tax problems, you have serious legal problems, you need an attorney. Call 314-260-6120 or toll free 888-367-6512 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
Hi, it's Michael Mohan with Community Mortgage. With all the bad news out there, it's easy to miss the good news. Mortgage rates are at historic lows, making now a great time to buy or refinance a home. My customers are locking in the best rates in a generation. Now is the time to use the equity in your home to cash out for a remodel, pay off high-interest credit card debt, or rid yourself of the dreaded PMI. During these volatile times, you need an experienced local loan officer working for you. Call me, Michael Mohan, at 314-336-6050. I'm here in St. Louis, and when you call, you talk to me. Whether you are purchasing or refinancing, I want to help you save money on your home loan. Michael Mohan at Community Mortgage, 314-336-6050. Online at communitymortgagestl.com.
Community Mortgage LLC, NMLS 250353224143.
This is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri 2nd District. The coronavirus affects all of us, and it is vitally important we work together to stop the spread of the virus. Please practice social distancing, wear a mask, and stay at home if you're sick. Contact me at wagner.house.gov or 636-779-5449 if you need help with any federal COVID-related issues and programs. This is Ann Wagner, and I urge you to stay safe and follow CDC guidelines. Paid for by official funds authorized by the U.S. House of Representatives.
The Dave Glover Show.
I don't agree with everything you say, but I absolutely believe you're being honest when you say it.
Afternoons from 3 to 7.
That's the reason why I think so many of us listen to you every day.
Common sense in the Midwest.
On 97.1 FM Talk.
Protect yourself, get a double barrel shotgun, have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts.
It's like he's prophetic. It's probably one of his policies that I agree with the most, honestly. I don't think he's wrong necessarily. And I grew up a country girl. So, that's Joe Biden. Does it say what year that was?
It looks like it was posted on YouTube in 2013.
Okay. So it's aged. I don't know if you want to say well or not, but good grief. I want to get straight to the guy who actually knows this law inside and out. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News' senior judicial analyst, joins us now. Here in St. Louis, we find ourselves on the national news stage once again.
Yeah.
And Judge, I got to ask you, Kim Gardner here, the prosecutor, maybe not so much on the national stage, but we've watched her make some pretty ridiculous decisions repetitively here. This one, to me, takes the cake. What's your reaction to her decision to charge the McCloskys in this instance?
Well, she has charged the McCloskys with brandishing weapons for an unlawful purpose when, in fact, they did brandish their weapons, but for a lawful purpose. I mean, the Supreme Court has ruled in a case called Heller versus the District of Columbia, and again in McDonald versus Illinois, that the right to keep and bear arms is a personal right. It is absolute in your house and on the land surrounding your house. In their case, they live on a private street, so the mob that was in front of their house saying things like, we're going to sleep in your bedroom and shower in your bathroom, and you'll be dead when this happens, was unlawfully present in front of the house. Missouri has a castle doctrine, which means you can stand your ground and use or possess or reveal the existence of deadly force to stand your ground. So there's no basis for this prosecution. Another reason there's no basis for the prosecution, and she sort of tipped her hand here, I don't know how experienced a prosecutor she is, but she offered them at the time of the filing of the complaint a diversionary program. That's basically 6 months of probation. It's not a guilty plea. At the end of the 6 months of probation, the charges against you are dismissed. Any prosecutors never, ever, three evers, offer this program at the time they file the complaint unless they have misgivings about their ability to prove the charges. So she's tipping her hand here. Add to this, the governor's going to pardon these people. The Attorney General of the state's going to bigfoot her and move to dismiss the complaint. And where are we going? We have a prosecutor using the criminal justice system to advance a political agenda, which is profoundly wrong.
Judge Napolitano, in this case in particular, it seems pretty cut and dry because things like it's a private street, they were threatening people, or they were threatening McCloskey's. But if you're listening to this, you're watching the story nationally, and you're trying to put yourself in this situation. What would I do at my house if this were happening on my street? Would it matter if it were a public street and if they weren't shouting things at them? Does that change the case for somebody else?
It probably does, because there would be no basis to use the weapon. The manifestation of the weapon is a response to fear of invasion, a legitimate fear on the basis of the presence of the crowd on private property and the threatening words that the crowd was using. Brandishing a weapon for an unlawful purpose typically is the initiation of violence. It's not the response to a threat. In New Jersey, which does not have a castle doctrine, I probably could be prosecuted if I did that. But in a state that has a castle doctrine, you can do that. I'll tell you the mistake they made. This brings us back to the Joe Biden quote when he's telling his wife what to do if she suspects an intruder. He suggested using real shells. These people had two guns. One was inoperative and the other was unloaded. That is profoundly insane to brandish a gun that doesn't work. That's inviting a lot of trouble because people assume you're going to use it and you can defend yourself, and you can't.
Yeah.
That's my only criticism of them is one of gun safety. But they're both lawyers. They know the law. Look, this is another reason why this diversionary program is not going to help them. They could lose their licenses to practice law if they go through this diversionary program. This case against them has to be thrown out or an acquittal entered by some means.
So we're speaking with Judge Napolitano, the guru, the Fox News senior judicial analyst, and we're grateful to have you here. Does being good at exercising your Second Amendment rights or being bad at exercising your Second Amendment rights change your access to your Second Amendment rights? Because a lot of people
in some states, yes. I don't know how strict Missouri is. I know that their weapons have been confiscated. Mm-hmm. That is normal because it's evidence. Excuse me. Sorry, that's normal because it's evidence in a criminal prosecution. I can't imagine that it's a permanent confiscation. New Jersey is a draconian state. And if that were to happen here, not only would the weapons that were used for this brandishing be confiscated, but all other legally owned weapons as well. So again, it depends on where you are.
Judge, let me ask you about the McCloskey's ability to retain in full their Second Amendment rights. If they are pardoned by the governor, do they get to retain their ability to exercise their Second Amendment rights? Is there any possibility that even if they aren't found guilty but they've been charged, is there a threat for them to be able to continue to bear arms?
Well, a pardon totally erases the charge. If they let's say they're charged and convicted and then pardoned, a pardon would allow them to answer under oath legally that they were never convicted. A pardon actually changes history, so there's no question what a pardon would do for them. The issue is, do the regulatory authorities in Missouri, and I am not a Missouri lawyer, take into account something like this, or do they recognize that the prosecutor is a two-bit political hack with an anti-gun bias? Let's be honest here. I mean, it's just my opinion, but it's based on observing her. Is that sufficient to impair your right to carry? I don't think so. Not in Missouri. It would be in New Jersey, because they look for any excuse they can.
Right.
New Jersey, Illinois, Washington, D.C. are the worst places in the country for right to carry. They look for any excuse they can to strip you of your Second Amendment rights. I really don't believe that's the case in Missouri.
Judge Napolitano, our Attorney General here in Missouri, Eric Schmitt, looks like he's going to get involved in this case. What is his authority in this case, or really any case, when it comes to a circuit attorney in a municipality like St. Louis?
Well, I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that, because it's Missouri law. But in most states, the Attorney General can supersede a county or local prosecutor. In New York, that is not the case. In New Jersey, it is the case. If it is the case in Missouri, then this case is going to be dismissed because he is superior to her. If she is independent of him, then I don't know what she's going to do. But I would advise the McCloskey to go to a jury verdict, and they'll be acquitted because of the possible repercussions to their carry rights, gun carry rights, and their right to practice law if they enter this diversionary program. I don't know how harsh the regulatory authorities would be, but they would be at the tender mercies of people that like, even in Missouri, that like to tell other people how to live.
We will ask the Attorney General Eric Schmitt about that here at 2:25. If I may, Judge, I'd like to switch gears here just real quick before we let you go, about the president's decision to send some boots into some certain areas that have been having a lot of unrest. I want to play this clip here real quick from, let's see if I have this right one pulled up. I don't. Kayleigh McEnany said this morning that the president does have the power to send in troops, and there is some clarification about he does have the power to send them in to protect federal property. What's your reaction to the president's decision to get involved here, and how it's going to continue to play out, where these cities aren't really keeping the order that should exist there?
Well, the president is upset at the lack of order, and a lot of people are, but just because he's upset at it doesn't mean he has the authority to do anything about it. In fact, under the Constitution and under federal law, both of which he has sworn to uphold, he can only send in troops to enforce domestic law when requested by the governor or the state legislature. He does have the authority to send the troops in to protect federal property, and of course they can travel to and from the federal property and to and from wherever their lodgings are, but they have no authority to enforce local laws. As wrong as it is for a mayor to tell a police department to look the other way, that is a local problem and not a federal problem. In the case of Oregon, it's totally out of control at both ends with respect to anarchy and with respect to totalitarianism. The anarchy is the police looking the other way when somebody throws a brick through a plate glass window of a liquor store in order to grab a bottle of bourbon. The totalitarianism is that people the president sent in do not have identifiable uniforms on, and they're arresting people with no probable cause or arrest warrants. That's a kidnapping. And then they let them go without filing any charges. So their purpose is obviously not to maintain law and order, but to deter people from exercising their freedom of expression. And that's called chilling, and that's been prohibited by the Constitution.
Is there a
The
solution?
president wants to accelerate this because he thinks there's political gain in it. That's unlawful and unconstitutional for him to do so.
It sounds like kind of a bit of a constitutional crisis of sorts, where you've got two entities, a separation of powers, certainly, which is always good. How does order get restored then?
Well, according to the Supreme Court, Local elected public officials, local and state, run the police departments, not the police, and the local authorities, local and state, decide how to deploy police assets. Now, that's good and it's bad. It's good because it's civilian control of police. It's bad because when you have people like the mayor of Oregon who's basically saying, look the other way, the police are handcuffed, so to speak. The same Supreme Court opinions have said, this is a shocker now, the police have no legal obligation to protect our rights and property. Well, if they have no legal obligation to protect our lives and property, well, what are we hiring and empowering them for? They certainly have a moral obligation. If the government fails to protect our lives and property, and if this failure is repeated and systemic, you know what Jefferson would have said, it's the duty of the people to alter or abolish the government. I'm not saying by blood, but by some means. But the failure of government to do its basic job leads either to anarchy or to totalitarianism. You have the unique combination of both in the streets of Portland as we speak.
Well, we will have to continue to watch, and I guess in my case, I'll pray for some order there and throughout the rest of the country. Judge, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show. We really value your expertise and insight.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me, guys. All the best.
Absolutely, you as well. Judge Napolitano, the Fox News senior judicial analyst, there with us at Judge Nap on Twitter. Go follow him. Thank him for coming on the show. Lots of good stuff there. We're going to take a quick break. I don't know. Do we have our caller back?
He is not there, but we have a couple other calls.
Okay. 314-241-9797. If he does come on, Katie, make sure we prioritize him to get back on first. Was that Mark, I believe? Was it Mark?
Yeah. No, Mike.
Mike.
Yes.
I was close. What do you think about what Judge Napolitano there? Seems to me to be pretty, as far as the McCloskey situation goes, cut and dry. And as we said earlier, at 2:25, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt will join us and answer Ryan's question, which I'm very curious about as well. How does this work? Because I don't understand all this stuff. I am a student in the classroom along with you. We'll be back with your phone calls in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.
I know I laughed when you left, but now I know I only hurt myself.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Bring it to me, bring your sweet loving.
Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
I'll give you two.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating over 50 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
It's the perfect time for a powerful business refresh during Dell Technologies Cyber Savings Event. It starts now with up to 50% off high-performance Windows 10 business laptops, desktops, and servers, plus top brand electronics. It's also your chance to streamline IT and simplify PC life cycles with PC as a service. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 10 Pro for business. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
Working from home? Conference calls?
You're still on mute, John.
With everything we have going on right now, it's never been more important to get the sleep we need. Quality sleep is a natural immune booster, and only the Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts your comfort and support on both sides, your Sleep Number setting. So all those other things we're doing to stay healthy and happy, well, they'll work better too. And now save up to $900 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds, plus special financing on all smart beds, only for limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Technology is great until it doesn't work. Arcadia Valley Communications can make technology for your business great again, or even better. Arcadia Valley Communications can assist you with all your cloud, VoIP, Wi-Fi, and fiber optic needs. Arcadia Valley has over 50 years combined experience to give you the best possible service at prices that beat their competition. Call Ron Elkins at Arcadia Valley Communications for a free technology analysis for your home or business. ArcadiaValleyCommunications.com.
Lakeside Renovation and Design.com is the website. Lakeside Renovation and Design used to be Lakeside Exteriors, and they expanded. They became a business that would help you with your James Hardie siding. They're the local expert in that. If you are on either side of the river and you're looking at an exterior transformation and you want that perfect beautiful James Hardy siding and the experts to help you design a masterful final product, then you go to Lakeside. Of course, you always have since for 22 years. But also now interiors, if talking about your kitchen, your basement, your bathroom remodels. But if you want the outside deck, the room addition, the screen room, the front or rear porch addition, Lakeside Renovation and Design is the place to go. You can ask them about their 18 months interest-free financing, which makes this a bit more affordable for you to manage, and you get the project done the way you want it to. And you can see beautiful examples of their work on their website. Again, go see my friends. You won't be disappointed in the quality and the care, the customer service at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Marc Cox here. If you need to drop a few pounds, call my friends at Slim 180. Get back in shape, feel great, keep the weight off. You can use their traditional program, the medically supervised HCG Rapid Weight Loss, or the new Quick Start LipoLean. I use the HCG Rapid Weight Loss program, and the weight dropped off in a hurry, sometimes 1.5 pounds a day. All the Slim 180 centers are following COVID-19 guidelines to keep you safe. They've got gloves and masks and plexiglass dividers. You work with their counselors and their doctors one-on-one, either in person or remotely. They can even mail you products or have curbside pickup. You can schedule your free consultation today. They also work with flex spending and health savings account cards. 6 locations: O'Fallon, St. Charles, Sunset Hills, Creve Coeur, Chesterfield, and Florissant. Visit them online today and set up your initial appointment at myslim180.com.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market games without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
This is where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Join the conversation digitally. Download the radio.com app so you can live stream from anywhere.
I got this target right here on my back.
Well, if you're just joining the show for the first time and you saw Gary's comment, you would have made a perfect Musketeer, Annie. I'm afraid Gary might be misleading you. I like Mickey Mouse, but I am not Musketeer material. And I have to say, we were doing our Pixie Dust podcast episode a couple weeks ago with Erica. If you are a Disney World person, go subscribe. If you're not, then just back off. Mm-hmm. But if you, my friend Erica, who hosts it with me, who is on Slim 180's Diet Again, and super excited to talk about her progress pretty soon. She was asking me about the ears that I have, because you know when you go to Disney World, you get your. I don't have any ears. I'm not an ears person. She like almost defriended me.
I can't believe that you're not an ears person.
Yeah, you're a t-shirt person.
I would think that you'd
huge
wear them.
Difference, Ryan. You're probably a t-shirt.
One of them.
Well, but I mean, you like the Disney t-shirts and stuff, though, right?
Oh yeah, I just bought a couple.
But the ears is the next level.
Yeah,
the t-shirts are one thing, the ears are another.
I put them on once, and I'm like, I don't know this person, and then I had to take them off. But I have to say, my older daughter, who's going to be 8 years old on Thursday, and I'm trying to figure out how to stop that from happening, but I can't. She collects the ears. She's starting to collect the ears, and I'm like all in it for her. But she's 8, and she looks cute in them. I am not 8, and I look like a woman child, and I'm not okay with that.
I don't like it.
I am paying for this vacation with my husband. You can wear the ears.
Yes.
Anyway, there's a little bit of a break. So yeah, I am not exactly Musketeer material. And Katie, can you confirm that?
You know what? I would say that is not your thing.
That's
not your thing. It's probably more up my alley.
Brian could be.
Yeah, I could probably do it for
You could pull it off.
I could do it just enough to say that I did it. I don't know that I'd love it, but
the truth about Ryan being a Mouseketeer is that he'd nail it, but in the entire time inside, he'd be making fun of it.
I'd be dying.
But he'd be really good.
Yeah, everybody'd be like, man, that guy's great. And when I go home, I would just cry like a sad clown.
I could see myself like internally wanting to be like that kind of a person, knowing full well that I am not. There's a level of self-awareness that has come upon me in the last 20 years where I've realized who I am and who I am not. And I'm chill with that now.
You're a realist.
You know who you are.
Yeah, I do. All right. I want to get to Mike's phone call. We had Mike talking on and he wanted to challenge a little bit the narrative. And Mike, I didn't hang up on you. And if you go back and roll the tapes, your signal went nuts. And because I had specifically just said, I won't hang up on you. And then I had to hang up on you. But thank you for calling back. I appreciate that.
Hey, no big deal. Hey, I appreciate. Always good to talk to you. Yeah. So I guess in continuation, I guess my biggest fear is that, we just had a situation earlier on in Georgia where, a guy was jogging down the street and was chased down and he was shot and murdered because he expected him to do something. Yeah, so I'm not defending the fact of it being a private street. I'm not defending the fact of if they were trespassing. I'm not defending that says they didn't have the right, or if the gate was open, or if they broke the gate, or if or not. What I'm saying is that we're creating a narrative to say that, okay, if you're scared, it's okay to go outside your house on your lawn and point guns or weapons at people who are walking down the street with signs, in that time of era that that people are protesting. So if you're protecting your house, most people protect their house from the inside. Okay. So we really have to be careful, because my thing is like, I am an African-American. So if my kids decide to protest and there's someone says that they feel, do you know how many black people have been killed because of how other people have felt? They feel scared. When if someone actually had a gun, I understand it's justifiable. But if no one in that crowd had a weapon and it's proven that they didn't have a weapon and they're brandishing their weapon at them, were they angry or were they scared?
Okay, I'm going to jump in here because you make a lot of points. I understand your points, but the first thing that I want to point out here is you brought up Ahmaud Arbery, correct? Is that the Georgia situation you're talking about? I hate that story with the fire of 1,000 suns, because it breaks my heart to know what took place there, regardless of any circumstances that led up to that moment. What happened to Ahmaud is horrible. It's horrifying. Breonna Taylor, same thing. It hurts. I have goosebumps right now thinking about knowing them personally. And to what you just said there, when you said if you were in a different neighborhood and the McCloskys were black, would the narrative be different? I'm going to tell you right now that I agree with you. I think the narrative would be different. That's the problem here. And that's what these people are supposed to be marching for. So I'm going to give you all of those points and tell you I think that they're great points. However, what I'm going to say is that what was taking place at the McCloskys is so not comparative to what happened to Ahmaud Arbery that by comparing the two, I fear that we are losing the absurdity of what took place with Ahmaud Arbery, and that people should see that story and read that story and be horrified that these people took matters into their own hands. So I want I want to say that I think that the Ahmaud Arbery situation on its own is so horrifically tragic that I think that we need to acknowledge that for what it is. But when you have a private street, they did not have the right to be there. Their protest went from being potentially a lawful protest to an unlawful protest on private property. And then furthermore, where were they headed? Weren't they headed to the mayor's house? And what were they threatening to do to the mayor's house? So
I think they were doing the same thing that happened in other political people's homes, like the district attorney or the senator, like they did at Mitch McConnell's house. People went outside Mitch McConnell's house and they protested. People went out to other politicians' house and they protested, and they created like a nuisance. And I get that. But what I'm saying is,
a nuisance on public property is different than a nuisance on private property. And the other thing you said, Mike, here real quick, is that you wanted to know whether or not that the people in the protest had a weapon. Well, I'm here to tell you that if I'm standing in the McCloskey shoes right now and I'm looking at these people, I'm calling them a mob because they're on private property. They are threatening my private property. So I'm going to call them a mob. I understand the difference
their
between
presence is threatening. So their presence alone is the threat.
Because of the mass of people that were there, they can be a weapon. The McCloskey's, are you kidding? The McCloskey's, 2 people and a dog inside have nothing against a massive amount of people who are shouting threats.
But you just said that a large group of people is considered a threat. Whether or not,
No, I didn't, Mike. Mike, don't put words in my mouth. That is not what I said. I said, this is very important that I make myself clear so that I don't end up getting canceled because somebody else takes my words out of context.
Well, we don't want that. We don't want that. At least I don't.
Mark that tape, Katie, right there, because Mike, the guy I'm discussing this with, doesn't want me canceled. So you can't cancel me.
I don't want you canceled.
So listen, this is the difference here. When you have a protest on public property do you know how many people were there? Was it like 50? Was it 100? I don't know the number.
I don't
of
know.
People there.
I don't know.
Let's just say it was 30. Let's guess low. Let's say there were 30 people. I'm telling you right now, I have a family of 5 and a Australian Shepherd that live in my house. If I have 30 people come stand on my lawn, because that's the private property, not the public, because I'm not fancy enough to live on a private street. If I have 30 people come shouting at me that they're going to come live in my home after I'm dead, and I've got my children inside my house, I've got my dog inside my house, I can tell you what, my husband and I, we defend our home, and we would defend our home. I don't think I would do it in the way that the McCloskeys did. I think they left a lot to be desired on what the Second Amendment community would like to see happen in that scenario. But I'm saying that 30 people standing in front of your house in a culture where a police officer, a retired police captain, had just been shot, buildings had been burned down, and they have chosen already to come on private property. Those 30 people, my made up number right now, those 30 people become a weapon in that group, in that location, with those threats. Not a protest, not a public, peaceful protest.
They become a weapon. They become a weapon. See this, and I think this is what needs to be known, and this one needs to be discussed as far as the perception and the perceived between people. Because it's no inclination that I ever think that if I see a large group, that legitifies me seeing them as a threat.
It depends on where they are and what they're doing, though, Mike. That is a huge, important distinction here. They were threatening
if people take the time to make a sign that says, like if we gather what happened before and why there were protesting, is because Wilson, the mayor, she gave addresses and names of protesters. And so they went to protest in front of her house.
Really stupid.
Now, I guess, exactly. But I guess the real question is this. Did those protesters go knock on their door and engage them, or were they walking to her house and they engaged the protesters?
But Mike, see, here's this. I think we would enjoy a drink together. I think that you and I.
Oh, we most definitely would.
Yeah, I think that you and I are not mad at each other, but I do think that I need you to know that it's not the protest that I'm upset with. It's what they choose to do and where they choose to do it. If they were in public property and if they were screaming at the McCloskeys from public property and not threatening them, then scream away. That's fine. And if the McCloskeys were to come out onto public property and do the same thing that they did on their front porch, another different situation. But the scenario that exists, not a hypothetical where you take some of the parts and put it in a different situation, that's different. Yeah, go ahead real quick. I'm going to have to get to a break.
Well, I just want you to answer this.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference that they were on the sidewalk and street and not actually on their lawn?
No, not according to legal experts, because it was private property owned by the
HOA. I'm asking you. See, I'm not a lawyer, okay? But I'm just a citizen and an American citizen. So it's like I'm trying to figure out in which does a person is seen legally as a threat, where a gun can be placed upon them if they're unarmed.
Okay, Mike, I have to go because I'm
okay,
supposed to break right now.
I love talking to you, and I love listening to your show.
Thank you, Mike. I love you, and I really appreciate your willingness to trust me with this conversation. And please don't let them cancel me. I get nervous talking about this.
And Mike,
stuff.
it's my fault because we got to go.
Yeah. Katie's already told me I'm a minute late. But here's the point. It's not a person that was seen as a threat. It was a mob of people. That's the way I'm seeing it. And I'm telling you what, if I'm standing on my front porch and I'm looking at these people shouting threats about taking showers in my bathroom after they take my house, if my kids are in there, I don't think I would have the restraint that the McCloskeys have. Maybe it was. I don't think it was. I don't think you ever put a gun in a situation that isn't loaded. That's 101 type of stuff. I don't think that this situation is a good situation in any way, but politically, I will add to this before we go. I think it is going to give a massive boost to Republicans on Second Amendment rights. When we come back, we're going to talk to Marc Cox.
Enjoy a more inspired drive in a new Mazda from all 3 Bomarito Mazda locations. We are here for you at Bomarito, and we'll work with you to find your perfect Mazda. Plus, every new Mazda has the Bomarito nationwide warranty, 10 years, 200,000 miles. Right now, buy a new Mazda with 0% interest for 60 months and 90 days deferred payment. That's at all 3 Bomarito Mazda locations.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station for many years as the financial expert. Trust and results are the 2 biggest factors in an advisor, and this is why Doug is so successful. So listen to Safe Money Radio 7 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk. He can see you at the office with plenty of distancing, of course. He can do a virtual call, 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
cajonesinc.com. That's the website you go to make sure that you get the very best in Metro East home builders. When you are looking to build a home, it can be just, it's an astronomical undertaking, especially when you first start, because how do you know what to do? You've never done it before. Well, C.A. Jones, as I said, the largest Metro East home builder, they know exactly what they're doing. And as I have walked through various homes of different styles and sizes, different amount of bedrooms, finished basements, unfinished basements that the owners wanted to finish later, C.A. Jones is the very best in the Metro East. You will really appreciate their usage of space, their ability to understand the way modern home building is being done right now. And it's stunning. Check out their Easy Buy program as well. They've created this whole new program that takes out the headaches of the normal process of building a home. And you can find out all of it online on their website at cajonesinc.com.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
The president doubles down on Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House reaffirming a commitment to keep an enhanced federal presence in place in Oregon, even though the governor and the Portland mayor say federal law enforcement is making a bad situation worse.
White House Press Secretary Keely McEnany says they are protecting federal property. She says a U.S. code authorizes Homeland Security to deputize other federal law enforcement agencies like ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and Secret Service.
They can be deputized for the duty of, in connection with the protection of property owned or occupied by the federal government and persons on that property. And when a federal courthouse is being lit on fire, commercial fireworks being shot at it, being shot at the officers, I think that falls pretty well within the limits of 40 U.S. Code 1350.
President Trump has said he's thinking of sending Homeland Security into other cities as well. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
A new fight brewing over the 2020 census, which is still in progress. President Trump just signing a memorandum that aims to bar illegal immigrants from being included in the count used to redraw congressional districts. Last year, the U.S. Supreme Court blocked the administration's effort to add a citizenship question to the census form, but the president argues the reapportionment exclusion is warranted to protect the integrity of the democratic process. The chairman of the Democratic Party calls the order unconstitutional and accuses the president of an anti-immigrant agenda. Some states still posting records for coronavirus cases. Mississippi just confirming over 1,600 in a single day as Congress holds a hearing on the search for a vaccine. Meantime, 2 Chinese hackers accused of targeting researchers and China's government accused of shielding them.
With the top cover provided by state officials, these criminals are given free rein to victimize law-abiding citizens around the world.
Assistant Attorney General John Demers as a federal indictment was unsealed today. America is listening to Fox News.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Tons of humidity around the St. Louis area this afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine, and let's expect showers and thunderstorms to really bubble up mid to late afternoon into the evening hours, hanging around 90 degrees. Tonight, those scattered showers and thunderstorms early, otherwise partly cloudy, 75 degrees. Wednesday and Thursday, hot, humid. Showers and thunderstorms around a very unsettled weather pattern, 90 to 92 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's one thing to be stuck in your house due to COVID-19. It's another thing to be stuck with a house. We have good news for homeowners listening throughout St. Louis. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is still buying houses. More importantly, we offer sellers a completely virtual selling process that maintains social distancing standards. Sell your home now. Call Chris today and get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call 314-782-7000. Can't collect rent? Not a problem. We buy My Tenant Won't Pay Me the Rent houses as well as vacant houses. We buy houses as is and deal with any situation. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call Chris today and get your house sold. 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Let's talk about urgent care right now. First of all, Dr. Scott Hardiman was on with us yesterday, and he's wonderful, fantastic, and he is part of the specialty physician care that exists at Urgent Specialists. Visit urgentspecialist.com. Better yet, make sure you make a mental note of this, because if you are not, amazingly and unfortunately enough, needing urgent care right at this very moment, there will come a time where you want to skip, first of all, the chaos of the emergency room, but also that big, nasty bill that comes after. You want urgent care because you need the care now, but it's not a life-threatening situation. You get that at Urgent Specialists. They're located on Manchester, just east of Highway 141. What they offer is specialists on call, immediately available to help you if it is necessary. That means you get the right diagnosis the first time. That's also going to save you money. By seeing emergency medical professionals trained by specialty physicians and having access to those physicians, you're going to get that accurate diagnosis the first time. Manchester, just east of Highway 141. They also have coronavirus testing available there, online at urgentspecialist.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday morning at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Nearly every week, our team meets with clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion on your retirement plan today. When you work with us at the ClearPath Wealth Management Group, we're committed to providing you with guidance that's in your best interest. No exceptions. To request your free consultation, contact us at bobstockdale.com. That's bobstockdale.com. Again, that's bobstockdale.com. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
America chooses this year. Are we the America we've known and loved? A country founded on liberty, built with faith, vision, and hard work? Or do we let the socialist, rioters, and anarchists win? Our Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer still believes in our America, and Blaine recognizes the foolishness of the radical left's plan to defund the police.
Our process is to have the people there to enforce the law. And without that, our vulnerable population will be very vulnerable because it makes no sense.
Blaine Luetkemeyer knows what it takes to get the economy back to full speed post-China virus.
Less regulations, lower taxes, and you saw the economy rebound at an almost historic pace. We wound up with 1.2 million more jobs than we had people to fill them.
Our Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer is a constitutional conservative on the right side of history, right side of law and order, right side of good-paying jobs, right side of American greatness.
I'm Blaine Luetkemeyer, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Blaine for Congress.
For news, entertainment, and information with perspective, national and local. Keep it here or download the app and stream anytime. 97.1 FM Talk at radio.com. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
What they want to do is destroy our form of government. They really are Marxists. They really did get inflamed when I mentioned private property. I mean, that's what really set them off when they broke through the gate. And I said, go back. This is private property. Those two evil words, private property, inflame them because that's what they're opposed to. And you know, I've become more aware of all of this since June 28th, but this is really a referendum on our form of government and our way of life and preserving the America we know. And if the president doesn't get reelected and the people that are promoting this violence take over the country, you know, it's gone. It's not retrievable.
Wow, that is quite a statement there. That is from Mr. McCloskey on one Marc Cox show this morning.
It's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. We can't stop. It's too dangerous.
I'm the best there is at what I do.
And that's the bottom line.
Well, Marc, that's quite an interview. You've been making some waves here lately with the governor, your interview with him and getting the governor to mention something about a pardon. And today you had on Mr. McCloskey as well. I want to give you the opportunity to kind of tease out what took place in that interview so that people can go back to the Marc Cox Morning Show podcast and hear the whole thing. Marc, thanks for coming on with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Annie. Thank you. It was a long and wide-ranging interview this morning with Marc McCloskey, who's not holding anything back at this point and is offended, clearly, that the prosecutor, Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, is going after him and his wife over defending their property. I mean, he's not shy about how politically tinged this is, and he's also not shy about pointing out that he had legitimate reason to believe that his life or the life of his wife might be in danger as that crowd came up the street. We talked about the private property issue and the use of the handguns this morning as well, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, we spoke with Judge Napolitano at 12:25, and he was basically all in that the only thing that is wrong here is Kim Gardner's decision to actually prosecute this case. It's interesting when you hear Marc McCloskey saying there about the importance of Donald Trump's reelection. That's kind of a turn that I didn't see necessarily coming this fast. I thought maybe we would get out of you've been charged with a crime and your guns have been confiscated, and then maybe the politics would come, but it's 2020. Who knows what's going to happen next? Do you think that's a valid point at this point in this venture? The stake with which the Second Amendment lies in this country is resting in President Trump's hands to get reelected? Sure.
And that statement, his statement today, that particular statement surprised me because people have been speculating, I think, about Marc and Patty McCloskey since this started. Well, are these Democrats that are being attacked by fellow Democrats, or why are they? They probably voted for Kim Gardner at some point and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know what their politics were, and apparently somebody looked up their voting record, and they voted for candidates from both parties. It's impossible to exist in the city of St. Louis without voting for a Democrat.
I feel like they might not have known what their politics were. 100%
No, and that statement kind of surprised me when he said it. But kudos to him because he is spot on. I mean, nobody's surprised that a lot of this is getting ramped up leading into the election. But you have to look at the end of the day at the people Joe Biden is promising to surround himself with. And I can't envision a scenario where all of this doesn't get worse when you've got somebody who's in the White House who's willing to kowtow to all of it.
Mark, I texted you last night. Congratulations on making national news. I didn't know you were going to do it 2 days in a row, so I have to tell you congratulations again. But when you talked to Marc McCloskey this morning, what are they preparing for? I mean, do they think that this is going to be a long battle and they're in for the long haul, or where's their mind at?
Well, isn't it interesting, Ryan? And thank you for saying that Kim Gardner's already soft pedaling this, and she's willing to accept community service, and I mean, she's already got them convicted, or she's trying to, plea bargain with them, which makes it seem all the more political. These folks are seasoned defense attorneys, and they've hired the best law firm in town. I mean, Joel Schwartz is one of the best defense attorneys in town. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know what the law, how the law reads on the Castle Doctrine and the Stand Your Ground law. I'm sure the judge talked about that. They know what's going to what the court's going to have to prove in a courtroom to convict them. And if nothing else, I mean, this could be a key trial for the next person that this happens to. The outcome of this trial, they're going to have to. Kim Gardner's going to have to go into court and prove that they weren't threatened by that crowd. That they didn't feel threatened by that crowd. Well, how do you prove that? I mean, that is very much he said, she said kind of thing. Plus, they claim to have, evidence. They claim to have seen people in the crowd carrying weapons and had threats hurled at them over the course of 15 or 16 minutes. And Marc McCloskey points out that you've seen about 30 seconds of the video, or maybe 40, and there was 16 minutes basically that elapsed from beginning to end.
Yeah, Mark, on that issue specifically, I mean, I'm sure when they stepped out that day wearing his pink polo shirt, he had no idea that would be immortalized, that's the image that everybody would forever know him by. Do you view this whole thing, the media included, Kim Gardner, all the attention, do you view this whole thing as kind of a warning to other people who would be willing to step up and protect their property, that you better not, you're going to go through a lot? Sure.
I mean, who wouldn't think twice about that? I was on with Mary Walters today, who was filling in for Brian Kilmeade. They invited me on his show earlier, which was pretty cool. And she's like, well, look at the McCloskeys. They've got the financial wherewithal to fight this out in court. They've also got the legal background to understand what they're facing. She said, imagine somebody who didn't. Imagine somebody who felt like they needed to defend themselves but didn't have the resources to fight an extended legal battle with Kim Gardner and hire a $800 an hour lawyer or however much good representation's costing you these days. So there's a lot on the line here. If Gardner gets rejected, if they beat this in court without having to wait for a pardon by the governor, that's important. There's a lot on the line for all of us.
Mark, I want to ask you a little bit about the president's decision. He's going to be reconvening these coronavirus press briefings or whatever they are. And he just said here recently that he is the most patriotic president. Kayleigh Madigan, he said today that if you want to be patriotic like the president, follow the president's example, wear a mask. And I was like, wow. That is a bold statement just to put out there. And I got to kind of call Kayleigh McEnany and the Trump administration out a little bit here, because I certainly would do that if it were the left that had just said, like I can't really credit the Donald Trump administration with showing patriotism is mask wearing. The president has donned a mask from time to time, and he has done so. Kayleigh McEnany reiterated he gets tested every day, if not multiple times a day. So they're very aware of the president's, whether or not he's got coronavirus. But I'm curious as we go forward with Governor Parsons saying, it's not government's job to tell you to wear a mask. Certainly in Illinois, you can't do anything without a mask anymore. How is this situation going to play out? Because it seems to me like Donald Trump may have budged a little bit for the sake of politics by donning that mask, and now the administration claiming it's patriotic.
Well, on Friday, Governor Parsons said to me, I'm not telling anybody not to wear a mask. I just don't think that it should be mandated by your government that you wear a mask. I mean, maybe that's all the president's saying here, playing devil's advocate for a minute. I don't know. In my opinion, I guess his coronavirus hearing is going to, when it starts, will be dependent on whether or not Dr. Fauci's back yet from throwing out the first ball at the Nats baseball game today. I understand he's been invited to throw out the first pitch. How in the world does he have time to do that if we're in the midst of this pandemic? These are the kinds of questions I have, because we've gotten mixed signals from even Dr. Fauci from the very beginning on this. And,
but if the message right now, if the president's message now is that it is patriotic to wear a mask, do you think more Trump supporters are going to wear masks?
I don't know. I mean, again, like a lot of these folks, I wear a mask if I'm in public, not because Sam Page or Lyda Cruzen tell me to.
Because you made a choice.
Because I've just got, I've got common sense. Plus, I want to respect other people. If it's going to make somebody else comfortable, I'll put the mask on. If I've got to run into Walgreens to get a Tylenol for the family, I'll put a mask on to walk in there, because there's a sign on the door that says wear. So out of respect for what they're asking me to do, I'll wear it. Not because they're telling me to wear it. I'm certainly not wearing it outside when I'm outside walking around. I agree that there's a little bit of a mixed message there, that you're not a patriot if you're not wearing a mask. I don't know that I understand that or agree with it. I just don't want to be told by government that I have to wear one.
Yeah, the importance here is personal choice. And if that personal choice is like you were saying you do, and certainly like I do, which is wearing a mask out of consideration for other people. I've said this multiple times, but it really solidified for me what I was going to do when we were discussing how to go back to church. And we went in the discussions of how to reconvene church and meeting in person. There were people who would not feel comfortable coming to church if people weren't wearing masks. And I thought, well, that's the least I can do, and it doesn't matter my political opinion on anything. If me wearing a mask out of, even if it's only out of the kindness of my heart, allows someone to come to church, then give me 4 masks. I'll wear all of them. It's a kindness and a courtesy thing we can do. I actually do think it's kind of patriotic in that sense to wear a mask. I kind of wish the president or the administration would have said that sooner, but mixed messages for sure on that.
Sure. Annie, can I mention the governor's interview on Friday that's gotten all this attention nationwide, even internationally? I'm sure you've heard the soundbite by now, where he basically said, kids are going to go to school, they're going to get COVID. They're not going to end up at the hospital. They're going to recover from it. Liberal heads exploded, partially because the Nicole Galloway campaign got a hold of this, saw some chunk of red meat that they could manipulate, and got their friends in the mainstream media to blow this thing out of proportion. When that interview was over Friday, my producer, Tricia Siekman, looked at me and said, how should we headline this story? And I'm like, well, the headline is that the governor says he will pardon the McCloskeys. To me, that was the big news out of that interview, that he would pardon these people if they were to be convicted in a court of law, not the fact that he pointed out that, kids are probably going to end up getting this, but they're going to recover, because the science backs up what the governor said. And that soundbite that you played last week where those 5 doctors were interviewed on NBC, and every single one of them were asked, would you send your kid back to school? And they all resoundingly said yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference between what those doctors said and what the governor said? Nothing.
They're not running for office, Mark.
I guess.
It's that
There's
simple.
no difference.
Yeah, you're right. It's science. I thought science was the be all end all,
Right.
It's kind of weird how I always feel like I end up on the wrong side of science, even though we're all talking about the same science. It gets kind of under my skin a little bit.
Boy, it's true.
Mark, everybody needs to go subscribe to your podcast, the Marc Cox Morning Show, because you're getting some great interviews, and we are grateful to get your thoughts and opinions on those here today. So thank you so much. Hope you have a great afternoon.
I'll do it, Annie. Thanks, Ryan.
Talk to you later, Mark.
Thanks.
Quick break. When we come back, I think we had a bunch of phone calls. 314-241-9797. If there's a line open, you can grab it right now. 314-241-9797. Jim Carafano is going to be on with us at 1:40, and we're going to talk to him about what's going on in China and some of these sanctions on U.S. officials trying to spook everybody. So that is going on. This feels like a roller coaster that loops into a Ferris wheel that goes into a Thunder Rapids, and then you end up on Dumbo. And I kind of feel like maybe we've been on Dumbo for a while. Feels pretty dumb. All right, we're going to be back in just a minute with your phone calls. Don't go away.
I don't remember what I read. I don't remember what they said. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Southern Armory, all your self-defense needs in one spot. Whether it's a firearm, a holster, training, pepper spray, ammunition, everything you need. Southern Armory. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Curtis and the whole staff at Complete Auto Body and Repair want to thank everyone for using them for their services. They are the leaders in the industry and always strive to be the best, so they now offer no-contact touchless auto repair. That means when you drop your keys off, they will sanitize your keys and fob. Technicians will sanitize before and after service. In addition, all repair authorizations will be done digitally after service. Your safety is the utmost importance to them as they sanitize their shops several times a day. They will even give you complimentary pickup and delivery via their towing partner, A2B Towing, and $150 off all hail repairs. To put it simply, they offer the complete experience. There are a wide variety of companies that can take care of your car and claim to go the extra mile, but how many of them follow through after you hand them your keys? This is where they show you Complete's mission. They are a family and will serve you as if you were one of their own. With 5 convenient locations, others can't compete with Complete. CompleteAB.com.
Hey guys, Glover here from my very good friends at ThrottleNet. So if you ever listen to one of these recorded ads, listen to this one. A company can expect 232 targeted cyber attacks per year that results in 30 breaches. 24% of businesses hit with malware took a week or more to regain access to their data. Many businesses just flat go under. They are targeting small towns. They are targeting dentist offices. They are targeting big businesses. They're targeting government. You're going to get hit. Let me tell you about ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet has saved their clients more than $2.6 million in ransom last year alone. And get this. ThrottleNet clients have never paid a dime in ransomware. Let me say that again. They've never paid a dime because they are protected. No contracts. Leave anytime you want. You have to check these guys out. You'll find them at throttlenet.com to protect your business, to protect everything you have. Go to throttlenet.com.
When was the last time you watched your home movies? Do you have a VCR anymore? What about a film projector?
With technology constantly changing, most families don't have a way to enjoy their recorded memories, trapped on VHS, camcorder tapes, film reels, and photos.
That's why we created Legacy Box over a decade ago. Legacy Box is an affordable mailed-in kit to have your aging media digitized to DVD, thumb drive, or the cloud. Our trained technicians digitize everything by hand right here in the US.
Imagine being able to easily relive weddings, graduations, baby's first steps, and more. Get started future-proofing your memories today so you can gather the whole family together and begin the trip down memory lane. Plus, for a limited time, we're offering 40% off.
Visit legacybox.com/gift to get an exclusive 40% off. Buy today to take advantage of this incredible offer and send in when you're ready. Go to legacybox.com/gift to save 40% off. LegacyBox.com/gift.
Have you ever wondered how the power of prayer works? Are you ready for the truth? In this new book, Crossing the Crevasse, author Wallace Wagner pulls aside the Bible's curtain and explains prayer. What's more, the book explains the Bible and UFOs, the flood, the time of the giants, and reveals the truth behind the 6,000-year-old Earth theory. Crossing the Crevasse, a critically acclaimed work of truth featured on WABC and national media, is available now on Amazon.com. But wait, a limited edition autographed copy of the book, Crossing the Crevasse, can be purchased directly from the author at CrossingTheCrevasse.com. That's Crossing the Crevasse, spelled CREVASSE.com. The truth will set you free. Are you ready for the truth? Can you handle it? Go to CrossingTheCrevasse.com and find out. That's Crossing the Crevasse, spelled CREVASSE.com.
Get a bird's eye view of your commute. Dependable traffic with Sue Thomas in the morning and afternoon. Driven by Ambassador Floor Company with 100% employee installation. Experience more with Ambassador Floor.
Saturday night, I feel the air is getting hot. Like it, baby.
Welcome back to the Andy Fry Show. This is one of my favorite songs to play when I was on Saturdays. It's kind of a throwback sentimentality to me.
Never heard it.
And the 90s. You don't know this song?
Nah. What is it?
Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
It's techno. It's 90s techno. Put it up a little bit here for a second.
Be my baby.
No, nothing? Katie has an excuse. She was probably two. I'll have to look
I was in the single digits.
We got to talk about Katie's puppy later, but I don't understand why it's not the top story we're talking about today, because it should be. But we'll get to it. We got a lot of phone calls here, and I want to try to get through as many as we possibly can here. Katie, why don't you pick whoever's been? I don't know how long. Give me somebody to take, and
Sure. Let's go with Robert first.
Mm-hmm. All right, Robert, what do you think?
Yes, on that Sandusky thing, you're calling it all wrong about this
McCloskey or Sandusky? Because I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
I'm sorry, McCloskeys.
Okay.
You all got it wrong about this prosecutor. I had the same thing happen to me last June of 19, where a person jumped out of a truck and came back at me, going to pull me out of my truck and beat me, so I pulled my gun to back him off. And I sit and waited for the police to show up. 20 minutes later, he's on 911 threatening to kill me. I call 911 and tell them it's escalating into a gun battle if you don't hurry up and get here. Well, short story. I went to jail for it. He got set free. He had a gun. I had my gun, but I put my gun up and waited. And I went to jail. But I knew a person in the prosecutor's office, a head guy. He told me all she is out to grab guns, because I was never charged, but I still haven't got my weapon back, and I'm sitting on a case. Yeah,
it's very impossible for me to anecdotally comment on I would say that there is, if there are similarities between your case and the Sandusky. Now you got me doing it. The McCloskey case. Maybe those exist, but it, like I said, anecdotally, it's impossible to compare the two, because circumstances are going to be different. And, maybe those circumstances would make the McCloskeys wrong and you right. I don't know. It's impossible for me to comment on that, but thank you for listening to the show, and hopefully you get your situation sorted out very quickly. Katie, you want to go next with Steve? Sure. Steve, let's take Steve's phone call. Thanks for calling the show, Steve. Hey, Steve, you there? Go ahead. Sounds like you're there. Steve, one last time before we let you go. Steve? Well, thanks for calling. Maybe he'll hear us on the air and call back. Otto is holding on the line. Let's get to Otto's phone call. Otto, thanks for calling the show. Hi, Otto. Go ahead.
Yeah, that Mike was talking about. There's tons of video out there, I guarantee you, of showing them tearing down the gate and everything else, but we'll never see them.
Yeah, I think I appreciate Mike's phone call, and I'm glad that he. The thing that frustrates me is that I think what our caller Mike was doing, and if you missed it, I think we tweeted it out at 97 FM Talk, and I'm retweeting it now. Is that I think that Mike has very important points that need to be made. His point, Otto, thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it. Ryan, what do you think about that? In a different scenario, if the McCloskeys were black and it was not a gated neighborhood, but somebody still came, a mob of people came onto their property, it's going to look different. People are going to react differently to it. And I'll add to it too. I hope you guys remember that I said that the number one guilt that the McCloskeys had from the day one, I said, is that they were exorbitantly wealthy.
Yeah, well, I think the point you made, I think, is really valid. And I don't know that Mike was kind of getting that full point, that if it was your yard and you had 30 to 100 people show up in your yard and start yelling at you, you would want to do something about that. Because it's your private property, you can. This street, take this out of just a yard, and we're talking about a full street that's private, the same thing would apply. And I think that's one of the main things. And that's why I asked Judge Napolitano about that. If this were a public street, would it be different? The answer is yes. It's a private street. And so when you're protecting private property, you have different rights than if people are marching on public property. I just don't think that he quite connected those dots.
I'm going to take Al's phone call here. Al, thank you for calling the Annie Frey Show.
Well, thank you for letting me get on.
Sure.
I rarely agree with him, but
Al, it's Al. I don't know, Al. I don't know if I'm on speakerphone or something right now. It's really hard to hear you. I want to make sure that we can understand what you're saying. So if you can make that sounds like it's getting better right now. You there?
Is that better?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I don't think that we rarely agree on anything, but I can point out a few things we agree on.
Okay.
I love my family, and I'm sure you love yours.
Yeah.
I respect the police, and I'm sure you do too.
Mm-hmm.
We may disagree on the level of how we are policed and the need for some reforms in the police. But to my main point, the castle doctrine, that's your home and not necessarily property, because your home is your property or your car is your property. Would they have the right to shoot someone that's standing on top of their car? That's their property? Are they protecting themselves that way? We have to be clear on what we're talking about when we say your property or your home. Those people never entered their home. If they stood on their grass, they never entered their home. If all of them had assault weapons in the state of Missouri, you can open carry. So they weren't violating any laws. They weren't threatening anybody by having a firearm. If they were waving or pointing those firearms at the McCloskeys, I would say yes, they had the right to defend themselves. They had a right to stand outside of their house and say nothing, let alone point their guns at people. That's where they broke the law.
So Al, I'm going to read you straight from statelaws.findlaw.com. It's about the Missouri Castle Doctrine. I'm reading this for everybody, and I'm reading this as much for myself right now as anybody who's listening. Missouri recognizes the Castle Doctrine and allows residents to use force against intruders without the duty to retreat, based on the notion that your home is your castle. The legal doctrine assumes that if an invader disrupts the sanctity of your home, they intend to do you harm, and therefore you should be able to repel their advances. Missouri's law is more extensive than the law in other states because it permits property owners to use the amount of force reasonably perceived as necessary, including deadly force. However, the case law suggests it does not go so far as permitting the use of deadly force to merely protect property. In 2016, the Missouri Court of Appeals for the Eastern District held in State versus Whipple that deadly force under the Castle Doctrine can only be used when you reasonably believe such force is necessary to protect yourself or someone else from, quote, the use of imminent use of unlawful force. So,
okay, reading all of that. What part of that?
Al, I'm in. This is my show, so we'll have a discussion. But I'm going to make a point here. I can't argue. I cannot argue law with you because I am not a lawyer. I am not a legislator. I've never written a law. Al, let's just.
I comprehend what you just read.
Al, I am begging you to have I want to do this. I want to do this the nice and respectful way. I can't sit here and argue castle doctrine with you. And you can argue it with me based on what you understand. I can argue it with you based on what I understand. And we could both be wrong, and we'd be doing every listener right now a disservice by not having the facts. So I will ask your question to the Missouri Attorney General at 2:25 and ask him to defend it, because if anybody in the state can defend the castle doctrine, I'll say your question, as I understand it, Al, is that you feel that it's in the home that the castle doctrine applies and that not on your front lawn. Is that your concern?
That's part of it. I mean, they according to reports, they didn't even step on their lawn. And if you're going to extend that to the area being private property as a part of their home, their castle doctrine, then that is a gray area that I don't have an answer to.
Well, and you know what, Eric, sorry. You know what, Al, I don't have that answer. And I could, if I wanted to, I could go into a laundry list of talking points as to why I think you're wrong and I'm right, but I don't have the facts behind it. So I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. And I think talking points suck. So I'm not going to do that to you. I respect you as a listener of the show, and I respect that you're calling in to challenge us. So I'm going to take your question and I'm going to ask the Attorney General to answer that. And, you might like his answer, you might not, but we'll get an actual legal expert's answer. Yeah, go ahead real quick before I let you go.
No, just because I don't agree with you does not mean I'm disagreeable. I hope I don't come off that way.
No, you don't.
I don't have any dog in this fight against you. I mean, when I think you're wrong, I like to come on and challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen much on your channel because most people agree with you.
Well,
but it's nice to validate your opinion.
You're the second person. You're the second person who's called today that has been on the air. And actually, that other person had a bad signal, and we asked him to call back. So I'm going to defend my right to say that we welcome all opinions here. And Al, yours is welcome too. And I will talk to anybody who's willing to be respectful, because I think what you and I are doing here shows other people that you don't have to agree all the time. And you started this off with talking about things we do agree on, and you were spot on with those. We do love our families. We do respect the police, and we may part ways on what needs to happen next. But the only way that any of this gets better is if we can talk about it. And that's why I'm grateful that you called today.
One other thing, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you? I've overstayed my welcome. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. I want this to. I want people to be like, "Wow, that was just so pleasant." So go ahead, Al.
Bring some expert opinions on that are other than Republican experts.
I had Judge Napolitano on this today as well, and he's
a Republican.
Tell Donald Trump that. Al, thanks for calling. It's good to talk to you.
He just wanted to tell the truth.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we got one. There you go. The headline here is Al thinks that there are Republicans who tell the truth. That's how the media would spin that argument. All right, we're going to take a break. Jim Carafano is going to be with us when we come back. I know there are other people who want to get on the line here. And listen, when I see we've got a couple Als that call in, it's kind of we have one Al that calls and agrees with us completely, and we have that Al who calls and challenges us regularly. If you want to have a spirited conversation out of respect, I'd prefer to have those every day. I can stand my ground in this situation. And if I can't, somebody should fire me. Don't tell Steve. We'll be back in just a minute.
I'll drive you crazy. Saturday night dancing, like the way you move.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
It's party time and not 1 minute we can lose.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Be my baby.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
I'm listening daily, here to help end the stigma of talking about mental health. During these challenging times, we are here to listen and to help our communities listen to each other. Here's Mike Shinoda on mental health awareness.
Anxiety, depression, suicide, these things were already being talked about so much before Chester passed away. And now that I'm kind of, in this situation, I think one thing that I've learned is that mental health, it's not a state of being. And so there's an awareness. Mental health is all about being aware of how am I doing today? Like if you say on a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy are you? You don't ever want to dip below a certain level. So if you think about like, what is my mental health right now, and it feels like it's low, or you're looking at your spouse or friend or whoever, and you're saying, I think that they're having a really bad day or they're having a really bad time. It should be cause for concern. It should be cause for action.
Let's end the stigma of talking about mental health. Find out more at imlistening.org.
Thomas Helbig is just dying to show you strategies that he can use with you to help project your retirement savings. If you are itching to get retired, if you can see it here in the near future, have you thought about how saving for retirement kind of shifts at this point in your life? If you're in your late 50s or early 60s, from saving to almost protecting. Well, Thomas Helbig is the expert at this, nationwide recognized, and you can get a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review with Thomas Helbig at Retirement Advisory Group right now. Call 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. You can make sure that you can participate in any gains of the market as they continue to happen, but you're not going to suffer from the losses. And he will show you exactly every step of the way how to make that happen. 314-993-9494, or you can visit him online to book at retirementkey.com.
It's the 20th anniversary of 97.1, and we're celebrating 20 years of great Dave Glover Show moments with Michael's Flooring Outlet.
How to Cook with Budweiser cookbook out of St. Louis. It's in excellent condition.
Before we bake, can I tell you something funny it makes me think of? At the house, we've had the large type cookbook forever, since Nick was a little baby, just for people who have trouble seeing the small type. And just the other day, he goes, "Oh, God, that's a whole lot less offensive than I thought." His whole life, he thought it was for fat people. He thought the large type cookbook, was a cookbook for large type people.
Wow.
GGS 20. Listen. Mike of Michael's Flooring Outlet. Proud to be Dave's first live endorsement and being part of so many sweet memories for the past 20 years. Thank you again, St. Louis and the Dave Glover Show. 97.1. Rock on. Check me out. IGotFloored.com.
When you want the right haircut the first time and every time, you go to Hair Saloon. That's what my husband and my son have done. I'm really loving, as mom/wife here, knowing that when they go to Hair Saloon, they're not going to come back with something that makes me go, "What did you do?" Hair Saloon gives you that right cut every time. When you get your hair cut at Hair Saloon, you get a complimentary beverage. My son was just in adoration over his Sprite because he doesn't really get to drink soda at home. Perfect haircut every time. A relaxing shampoo, hot towel, and mint, and a complimentary shoe shine if you need it. If you are looking for a classic haircut or you want a signature stress relief service, the Hair Saloon builds comfortable, relaxing environments for people exactly like you. And here's my favorite part about Hair Saloon. Every time I have the opportunity to tell you how you can save money if you are a veteran, if you're active duty military, or if you're a first responder, I want to do that. You will get 25% of a discount on services all day, every day at Hair Saloon. Learn more online at hairsaloon.com.
The Dave Glover Show.
Our pizza comes out of a 500-degree oven, and we don't touch it again.
Before, were you giving it a kiss? Because I don't understand.
We've stopped licking your pizza.
Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for joining us today. We're getting a lot of spirited conversations in here today. And just got a suggestion from one of our very special listeners that said we should have all the Als on at one time. And I am in favor of that. I don't know how you would possibly schedule that, Katie, but we can have an Al off. I'll make it happen.
And it would be amazing. Speaking of spirited conversations, let's get Jim Carafano on the show with us, a leading expert in national security and foreign policy challenges at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on with us.
Hey, good to be with you.
You as well. We are seeing these sanctions
that China is putting on U.S. officials. And, the suggestion here is that maybe they're trying to puff their chest out a little bit. That sounds very, Chinese, I guess, from a governmental standpoint across the world. What should we be expecting here as we see China making these bold moves on a global scale?
I think that's exactly right. Matter of fact, I wrote a piece on that in Fox News where I said, look, I don't really think this is about them sanctioning, Ted Cruz, for example. They're not going to extradite Ted Cruz. They're not going to have him arrested if he shows up in a third-party country. This is about intimidating other countries, lesser powers that don't have the power and the scope and the prestige of the United States. Say, look, if we're willing to sanction American officials, just think what we'll do to your country. So I think this is about intimidating everybody else but the United States.
Jim, does China see the writing on the wall here? There's a whole lot of nations who are not happy, and usually Europe is kind of wishy-washy on things. They seem like they've really consolidated against China throughout this whole process with COVID. Is China swinging from being backed into a corner here?
Well, let's look at it from China's perspective, because we always tend to look at things about how we think about the enemy looks at us. Let's think about how they would look at this. So Xi comes along. He's the new leader of China. He adopts really a new strategy, which is instead of China kind of covering up and being timid about its rise, to be bold and strong and confident. And so he launches into this really starting at the Party Congress several years ago. And, now they've hit a big bump in the road, COVID, the economy, pushback from the United States, and everything else. What does he do? If he reverses course and is going back to saying, oh, we're just nice little China, don't bother us, that's a massive loss of face on his leadership. Or does he try to tough it out and push through this? I mean, what would you do if you were him?
I want to ask you about the Chinese. This is news that is within the last couple hours here. Chinese hackers charged by Justice Department trying to steal United States coronavirus research. This is interesting because it's kind of like the summation of every story with the Chinese-United States relationship. Going back into the trade deals that the president was touting before coronavirus hit, there was a lot of people with mass concern, rightfully so, about the propensity for China to steal our intellectual property. Now we're hearing that the Justice Department is saying they're trying to steal our coronavirus research. What's the point of the Chinese hackers doing this? What are they trying to affect here?
So on the one hand, it's nothing to see here. It's Wednesday. It's business as usual. On the other hand, everything's changed. This is consistent with what China has always done. They've always done this. But what we've done before is we've never put the spotlight on it. Do you remember famously under the Obama administration, they basically just got an agreement from the Chinese to say, please just promise you'll stop doing this, even though we know they didn't, and then we didn't do anything about it. They're even more desperate now because China wants to be the one to bring a vaccine to the world so they can claim that they're better than everybody else. So they're trying to copy everybody's homework to do that. But we have limited capacity to prevent them from being malicious, right? Are we going to start World War III over somebody trying to hack into something? Instead, what the administration has done, which is completely different than the last administration, is when they do this, we turn a big, bright spotlight on them. We embarrass them before the whole world. We show that we know what they're trying to do. And it's not just a warning to the Chinese, to every American company, to every American university, to every American research institute. It's a warning. The Chinese are going to come after you. You need to take this seriously.
Is the approach that this administration is having, is anybody else in the world doing this, taking this bold, spotlight shining approach towards China? Are we kind of alone in that regard right now?
No, I mean, we have seen kind of the dawn coming up over the hill a little bit. China, for example, pushing back. United Kingdom pushing back on China with Huawei, big telecom investment. The Australians have gotten a lot tougher and a lot more forward. If you remember, besides the United States, calling out the World Health Organization, Australia was really a leader at pointing out malicious Chinese activity at WHO. They've done it in some of the domestic university things. Japan's been more forward-looking. India recently banned, or they're going to ban TikTok, the Chinese software. So, and this is the thing is it's kind of like chicken and egg, right? Except the chicken's got to be there first. the more the U.S. stands up, the more we create space for other countries to stand with us. Now, some of those countries were just like, yeah, you go fight the dragon, and we're just going to go sit back here and watch. But a lot of countries are realizing that the United States can't do this alone, that if we stand on the sidelines, we wind up getting trampled by the grass. So we have to jump back on the elephant that at least stands for the things that we believe in.
Jim Carafano is leading expert in national security and foreign policy at Heritage. Jim, we talk a lot about looking at the rest of the world who is ahead of us in terms of coronavirus and getting it and it going throughout their nations and us looking to them and seeing how they're doing. What about the economy of different nations, especially China? You know, as we struggle to get back on our feet and are fighting to get there, how is everybody else doing right now?
Well, yeah, I still think we're in whether it's the public health response and who's really, have COVID in the rearview mirror or getting your economy up and running, I still think we're in the too soon to tell category of who's really, really got this right. And we're so interdependent. At the end of the day, in a free world, when we all come out of this, we'll only really all be out of this. As far as China goes, I mean, it's anybody's guess. Look, the Chinese have a strong reputation as lying about their statistics. And now they're putting out growth statistics and recovery statistics that we don't have any more confidence in than we did about their COVID numbers.
I want to ask you one more question, Jim Carafano, before we let you go here. I've heard the president is doubling down once again. I don't know if it's like quadrupling down, or I don't even know what words come after that when you're multiplying things exponentially, but calling it the China virus. Does that have any actual impact on our relationship with China or with other countries when he is calling COVID-19 coronavirus, when he refers to it as the China virus? Is it just words, or does it actually have any impact?
Look, I always think it's helpful to remind people that China is really at fault here for a whole host of things. Does it make all the difference in the world? I don't know, but we always admired Ronald Reagan having the courage to just, hey, it's legal, get over it. Everybody kind of, quivered, and then we said, oh, well, that's just words, right? Well, words matter, and then people always say with Trump, words matter. He doesn't say the right words, and then he actually says words that are correct, and they go, well, words matter. So look, it's not going to change the world as we know it. But look, he's just being Trump, which is he just called it like he see it, and he's unapologetic to do that. That's just who he is. He's never going to change.
Yeah, that's for sure. It is what it is. Jim Carafano, thank you. Always great to have you on the show. We love your insight, and we're grateful that you're here with us.
Thanks, my friend.
Talk to you again soon. Jim Carafano, the leading expert in national security and foreign policy, challengers at the Heritage Foundation. I always wonder, he'll say often, if you ask him a question about politics, like, oh, you think that Joe Biden or Donald Trump will be better? He'll say, what is it? Policy, not politics. Mm-hmm. That is the way he speaks on it. But in some respects, policy is politics, and politics turns into policy. That's how you become successful in those endeavors. And it's interesting to hear his take on that. Do you guys care if he calls it the China virus, Trump? Not Carafano.
Go ahead, Katie.
No, you go.
Well, in this situation, I think that it almost feels like he's trying too hard. I mean, I know it came from China. We all know it came from China. We all have called it, though, since the beginning, the coronavirus. So in this situation, it feels like he's almost doubling down in a way that's not effective.
I don't like it. I will not be calling it the China virus, because I think that people, if you say something like that, it causes more of a divide on something that we all know is horrible, which is the coronavirus. However, I will say, I think he began calling it the China virus because China started to put out propaganda that this was started in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is why he started calling it that initially. But now I just think he's doing it to be a troll.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's reporting on it, where it came from? Literally, you watch these networks and they blame Trump for the virus.
They do. Mm-hmm.
So do I like that he's doing it? No. Would I like journalists to do their job? Yes. Are the journalists going to do their job? No. Does Donald Trump need to take it into his own hands? I guess he thinks he does. And if he does, is he getting the message across? He is.
I mean, it's like,
it's true.
it's not, you can't control the existence of everything that is out there because we would have to move so many pieces to make it ideal. Donald Trump is playing the hand that has been dealt to him. He did not deal the cards. This media is ridiculous to him. We're going to speak with House Leader Jim Durkin, Minority Leader, in just a minute about Madigan corruption. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, this is Lance Drury. If you have payroll tax problems, you have serious legal problems, you need an attorney. Call 314-260-6120 or toll free 888-367-6512 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will show you how to retire in 2 to 5 years. Your age doesn't matter. Turn off the pundits and turn on the passive income. Tune in to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Talked to a friend the other day who's getting ready to put his house on the market, and he had hired some painters to come over and paint the trim and do some other things, and he was having to get some of his siding replaced. And he looked at me and he goes, "Wait a minute, you had that rhino shield put on a few years ago, didn't you?" And I just smiled at him because I did. And I had it put on 12 years ago, and I don't have to worry about touching up anything because it looks as good today as it did the day they put it on. I couldn't be happier with this product. It's an exterior ceramic coating is what they call it. It looks beautiful like any paint job you might get. It just lasts for 25 years. It's fantastic. Call Darren. Let him come over and give you an estimate on this great product. He's honoring right now his 2019 pricing. So take advantage of that while you can. Get on the schedule, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
As your employees are transitioning back to work, you want to provide a safe environment for them to work in. Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning has been servicing buildings and facilities throughout the metro for over 20 years. Jan Pro offers a range of disinfecting services that can eliminate 99.9% of germs that spread common illness and contagions. Has no adverse effects to the environment, staff, or visitors. For a no-obligation quote, contact Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com. That's jan-pro.com. Commercial cleaning for your office or facility. It's Jan Pro Commercial Cleaning at jan-pro.com.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
Michael Flynn at Shelter Insurance wants everyone to know that they are available to help current and future customers with their insurance needs during the COVID crisis. Michael and his team are available to assist with policy reviews and continue to provide free quotes to new customers. Please call Michael at 636-441-8177 because most situations can be handled through phone or email. Thank you for choosing Michael Flynn and Shelter for your insurance needs, and we hope you stay safe and strong during this crisis.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
Testing takes center stage on Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's one of the issues spurring debate over priorities in another coronavirus relief bill. Democrats have accused the president of opposing money for more testing. The White House disputing that.
White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany telling reporters that the White House will ask for more funding for coronavirus testing nationwide in the next relief bill coming out of Congress.
So we do want to see more testing funding, but we want it to be targeted in a way that it gets to the right people who need testing at the right time, not just dumping money into a bucket. So we want more money. We want it to be targeted.
The House passed a sweeping $3 trillion rescue package in May, but Republicans dismissed it as unrealistic. Both GOP leaders and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have pegged the cost of the Republican plan at roughly $1 trillion. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
Talks on the GOP bill continue in Congress and at the White House. Democrats accuse the president of playing politics with federal law enforcement over the crackdown on violent demonstrators in Portland, Oregon, as several mayors reject sending federal agents to their cities. Trump 2020 spokeswoman Erin Perrin.
The only thing being done for political purposes at this point are Democrats not taking control of the streets, not protecting the citizens and their friends and their neighbors and their families and the businesses in these communities.
Meantime, Defense Chief Marc says he's expressed concern within the administration about federal agents wearing military-style uniforms while handling protests and riots. A Pentagon spokesman telling reporters a short time ago they want a system where people can tell the difference. Joe Biden unveiling the third part of his Build Back Better economic recovery campaign, focusing on caregiving, including childcare, and calling in part for tax hikes on higher income Americans to help fund it. America is listening to Fox News.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Tons of humidity around the St. Louis area this afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine, and let's expect showers and thunderstorms to really bubble up mid to late afternoon into the evening hours, hanging around 90 degrees. Tonight, those scattered showers and thunderstorms early, otherwise partly cloudy, 75 degrees. Wednesday and Thursday, hot, humid. Showers and thunderstorms around a very unsettled weather pattern, 90 to 92 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's the right fit for you. And check out the podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's digital editor, Megan Crane.
It's one thing to be stuck in your house due to COVID-19. It's another thing to be stuck with a house. We have good news for homeowners listening throughout St. Louis. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is still buying houses. More importantly, we offer sellers a completely virtual selling process that maintains social distancing standards. Sell your home now. Call Chris today and get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call 314-782-7000. Can't collect rent? Not a problem. We buy My Tenant Won't Pay Me the Rent houses as well as vacant houses. We buy houses as is and deal with any situation. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call Chris today and get your house sold. 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Stewie keeps doing it again and again. Stewart's American Mortgage with the bagel loan, and now the addition of the Bank Buster loan is going crazy. People are getting insane rates. I have heard of people getting rates under 3% on 30-year loans. I have heard stories, almost legends, of people using the Bank Buster loan and the bagel loan. The bagel loan, remember, I've talked to you about this for a long time now, that the bagel loan is a loan that makes it so that you don't have to pay fees up front to get your mortgage refinanced or to get a new purchase on a home. You can do the bagel loan there as well. You got to call Stewie to make sure that you qualify, and he will set you up with the most beneficial thing for you. That's the entire premise of Stewart's American Mortgage, is that it is centered around you, not like these other guys who are going to talk to you about, like rates, low. These are people who do things in mass volume. Stewie does them for you. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Dear beloved bathroom,
You've had quite a few interesting looks over the years, but the time has come to forget the fads and go with a timeless look that will always be in style. Let's give Mosby Building Arts a call. We can count on them to handle our bathroom remodel from start to finish. All we have to do is sit back and accept compliments on our fabulous new look.
Have a dated bathroom? Call Mosby at 314-909-1800 or visit callmosby.com.
Mosby Building Arts. Home never felt so good.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station for many years as the financial expert. Trust and results are the two biggest factors in an advisor, and this is why Doug is so successful. So listen to Safe Money Radio 7 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk. He can see you at the office with plenty of distancing, of course. He can do a virtual call. 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Stay connected every weekday. Marc Cox and Ryan Kilmeade in the morning. Annie Frey, then Dave Glover in the afternoon. Sean Hannity every weekday evening. 97.1 FM Talk. Streaming at 971talk.com. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, please feel free to comment along if you have questions, as we have some big guests here coming up. At 2:25, we are going to be speaking with the Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt. We're going to be talking about the Castle Doctrine. We're going to be talking about his involvement with the McCloskey situation here in St. Louis, as they have faced charges from the Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, and we will get to the bottom of that at 2:25. But an interview I've been excited to do here for a while. Our next guest, we have the Illinois State House Minority Leader Jim Durkin joining us now. And Leader, it's great to have you on here. I have to tell you, the news that hit on Friday about ComEd and their involvement with Mike Madigan was both shocking and not shocking at the same time. And I think that a lot of Illinoisans, taxpayers, perked up and they're leaning in to see what happens next. And we're very grateful that you had some time to discuss it with us today.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you just fine. Let me give you the opportunity to just kind of lay out for the people in your position. You've served for some time and you were the minority leader in the House, so you probably work quite often with Mike Madigan. It is national news now. It's on foxnews.com. Tell us what you want the taxpayers of the state, the voters of Illinois, to know about what took place this past week.
Let me just let you know that Friday's news was not just the ordinary type of, bad news about Illinois government. I think myself and anybody else who believes in this process has been shaken to the core by the allegations that were filed in the federal court with the U.S. Attorney's Office, where one of the largest public utilities, if not the largest public utility in the state of Illinois, highly regulated, pled guilty. A corporation pled guilty in the state of Illinois to make a long story short, for bribing the Speaker of the House of Illinois, Michael Madigan, in exchange for favors in the legislative arena. It was not just help with votes. There was a slush fund created, jobs, and jobs. Precinct workers put into ComEd positions. The list goes on. I will say, Annie, in my years, this may, and I think it will be, the most egregious example or act of public corruption that I've set my eyes on ever.
Wow. But it's something to hear this being talked out in the open, because in my conversations with many people, both serving in elected office in the state of Illinois and a lot of pundits and people who are supporting this process, there is a status quo. There is an understood way of doing business, doing political business in the state of Illinois, and every single route navigates its way through the Democrat Mike Madigan, who is the Speaker of the House, has been since 1983, which is 1 year before I was born, save 2 years there. So from what I'm hearing you say here about what ComEd has said that, they're agreeing to pay $200 million in fines here. What ComEd is guilty of, does that guilt exist without Mike Madigan, or is Mike Madigan the other component to this corruption that is necessary for there to be some sort of criminal behavior?
In this type of action, it takes two to tango. So if the speaker is to suggest that I did nothing wrong and this was strictly a unilateral action on behalf of Commonwealth Edison, I don't buy it. I know how that operation in Springfield works. I understand the culture of Illinois politics. This was just not a unilateral action where one person stuck their head in the sand and wasn't aware of all these facts that we're finding out about without his knowledge. You've got his right-hand man, his gatekeeper, Mike McLean, right in the middle of it, and Mike McLean was inseparable from Mike Madigan for years, and that's how things got done in Springfield.
So I want to ask you a little bit, Leader Durkin, about you were the House Minority Leader. You were, I don't know if the word in charge of the Republicans. You lead the Republicans in the House. There aren't a whole lot of you. And in the House, you have a super minority of Republicans that don't even really need to be considered on a lot of things in order for like a budget to be passed. They wouldn't even need to tell the Republicans about them in order to have the votes they needed to pass a budget. And
that's what happened. They did their own thing. They passed a $5 billion budget that was out of balance, but that's what they do. They don't care about Illinois taxpayer money. They just will spend to feed whatever interest helps them get reelected, no matter how it's going to be paid. This is this is how they operate. Now, Andy, I just want to make this one point. Last week, I held a press conference, and this was on last Tuesday, criticizing and calling for, an immediate of us to be brought back into session to take up ethics reform. And I specifically was critical of the Speaker and the House Democrats that ethics reform is never going to happen because it does not fit in the Mike Madigan business model of running the legislature. And then 3 days later, this happens. So I think it was timely. We have, meaning myself and my colleagues, have been preaching and screaming from the highest mountain over the past year of why we need to have ethics reform. People forgot about Louis Arroyo. This is a member of Madigan's leadership team who was arrested for trying to bribe a sitting state senator for a gaming issue. But the state senator, the Democrat, was cooperating with the federal government. We're in a wire. This is stuff you can't make up. But no one wants to do ethics reform except for Republicans. So, you know what? I think we're at a point where we're going to finally get some action. And we put it on the governor today. My members had a press conference today calling upon the governor to call for a special session because the governor has the ability, not just the Speaker and the President of the Senate, the governor on his own, call the legislature in to take up ethics reform. And I'm calling on the governor to do it as well. He should not be silent. And nor should Representative Bristow or Representative Stewart or Representative Wright, because they have been silent on this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
silent.
Yeah. Katie Stewart, 112th is my representative, and I haven't heard anything from her. And I was hoping that you'd bring their names up because Mike Madigan has his hand deeply in making sure that our districts down here stay blue. And I talk to my neighbors, fellow voters here, and they don't really understand what's going on in their state, they don't feel like they're represented. And a lot of them often will go to blame Chicago for the woes of the state. And I say, look around you. Look at how many seats. If we get 4 seats in the House of Representatives, if we give you, Leader Durkin, 4 red seats, now you are no longer in the super minority. But it's important for people to understand that Mike Madigan is very dedicated, himself very dedicated to making sure that Katie Stewart stays in the 112th and Monica Bristow in the 111th and Nathan Wright's in the 100. I can't remember which one.
They can all say that, this is terrible, terrible Chicago. Those guys are terrible. They've ruined our state. But each one of them has taken hundreds and hundreds, if not millions of dollars from Mike Madigan to get elected. They vote for him for speaker every year. So it's really interesting. Every election cycle, well, I haven't made my mind up if I'm going to vote for Mike Madigan if I vote for speaker, but they do. And people buy into that, for lack of a better term, BS. So I will say this, Annie, their silence is deafening. Mm-hmm. And as far as I'm concerned, silence is corruptive, and it is corruption.
Are the Republicans that are in office right now in the House and in the Senate, while they are both in a super minority, are they mad? Because I know the Republicans and the independents and the tax-paying Democrats that I talk to right now, they're furious. Are the people who are in office mad?
Taxpayers, but also ratepayers who are paid ComEd bills. Yes, our members are outraged, and I would say that as people have read through the statement of facts and the deferred prosecution agreement that was agreed upon with ComEd, who agreed and admitted to this, they're furious. They feel like they've been duped, that they've been taken advantage of in this process by this coordinated effort between Speaker Madigan and ComEd. And we're not going to take it, and we are going to be even more aggressive than we were planning. But our members are upset, and we're not going to just sit there and just lob a few, we need to do something. We're going to be very aggressive, and that's why we took it to the governor today. The governor is the head of the Democrat Party. He needs to take this lead. He needs to bring us back into session, do something simple like banning legislators from being lobbyists. How about that for one? We don't need to have a blue ribbon commission to study that. That's what Louis Arroyo did. He was a registered lobbyist.
Explain to me how that works, because I don't think, I know what you're saying, but I don't think a lot of people understand the quick turnaround from being a legislator and a lobbyist. How does that work in the Democratic Party in Illinois?
Well, usually you have to leave office, and then you pick up and you hang your shingle, and then you start lobbying once you're out. That has been criticized, and and I think that there should be a cooling off period before you can lobby, because you have just voted or introduced bills for a number of interests, and you leave and you think that there's maybe going to be some type of benefit by getting a lobbying contract. But but this is even crazier. Louis Arroyo, assistant majority leader, yet that he was part of Mike Madigan's legislative leadership team, was serving as a member of the House of Representatives, but also his side gig, he was a lobbyist registered in the city of Chicago for an entity that's trying to do something called sweepstakes legislation to get that, which is a really filthy area within, the gaming industry. So that's how it works. That's the business model that we're trying to crack.
Yeah. And let me ask you one last quick question. I got only about a minute left here. You've been very pointed that the governor has a responsibility here as the leader of the Democratic Party. The Governor J.B. Pritzker, has said that if Mike Madigan is guilty of what he's been accused of, he should resign. Do you foresee the governor following through with that and making sure that his request there comes to fruition?
Well, I would say this. Guilt is a lot different than whether or not we believe that the facts are true. We have precedent in the legislature. First, going back to Rod Blagojevich, in which after he was charged, he was impeached and removed from office. There was another representative, a Democrat representative in the city of Chicago 5 or 6 years ago, Eric Schmitt, who was arrested by the U.S. Attorney's Office for taking a bribe. We removed him before a trial was conducted in which he was found guilty. We don't have to wait for the federal government to impanel a jury and have a case heard and a verdict come back from the jury before the legislature to take action. The governor needs to lead on ethics. The governor is asking, again, this is interesting because at the same time that we have this horrible scandal that affects the taxpayers and ratepayers of Illinois, but the governor wants to raise taxes under the Constitution. next November and change the tax code. I just find it amazing that they're going to continue on with this effort to pursue the fair tax, which is going to hurt more small business. I'm voting against it because it hurts small businessmen more than anybody can ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to run out our good businessmen, the people who put people to work. At the same time, we're dealing with an issue of corruption that deals with taxpayer money and ratepayer money. But the Democrats they seem to separate both. And that's the hypocrisy that exists with the Democrat Party of Illinois. And I hope that Democrats who are listening in understand how they are being taken advantage of. And they need to know that there's an option next November with the Republican candidates in the Metro East.
Leader Durkin, I want to tell you that we are working here on the Annie Frey Show overtime to make sure we get that no vote on that constitutional amendment to change our tax code. And we're going to work hard to send you 3 or 4 Republican seats down here. We're going to flip them, and we're working hard to do that to make your job easier. But we're going to ask you and press on you to continue on that drumbeat of pushing against the governor and against Mike Madigan, because we're sick and tired of the corruption.
Thank you, Annie. I'm glad I certainly will.
Thank you so much. Leader Jim Durkin, Illinois House Minority Leader Jim Durkin on with us, who I'm grateful to be able to talk to. And he is going to have to lead this charge as we push against corruption that has just become status quo in the state of Illinois. Well, maybe not any longer. Just got news in the state of Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder and 4 others arrested today on charges stemming from a $60 million bribery case brought by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Ohio, David DeVillers. That's interesting. He's a Republican. So it seems as though this Justice Department is busy. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to ask Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt about the Castle Doctrine when we come back. I got to play a legal expert on the radio a couple hours ago, and I took that pitch because I am no legal expert, but we have the man who is coming on next, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt, in just a minute. Do not go anywhere.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
We don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet.
At Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, our goal is to continue to serve you while protecting your home. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis knows day-to-day routines have changed in your homes and in your lives, and we will continue to put the safety of our customers and coworkers first. For the month of July, get our maintenance program for just $89.95. For up to 3 garage doors, go to overheaddoorstlouis.com or call us today at 314-781-5200 to schedule your appointment. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
What's your favorite 4-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times with this social distancing, face mask wearing, staying at home world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our 4-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that your retirement plans don't take a backseat. You've watched the market drop and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments and find out how you may be able to save big on taxes while the market is down. Find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call the team today to set up a meeting, 314-373-1598, Compass Retirement Solutions, 314-373-1598. And for more on retirement planning, listen to Rethinking Retirement, Saturdays at 8 and 4 and Sundays at 11. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Compass Retirement Solutions does not provide tax advice.
Hey guys, Glover here from my very good friends at ThrottleNet. So if you ever listen to one of these recorded ads, listen to this one. A company can expect 232 targeted cyber attacks per year that results in 30 breaches. 24% of businesses hit with malware took a week or more to regain access to their data. Many businesses just flat go under. They are targeting small towns. They are targeting dentist offices. They are targeting big businesses. They're targeting government. You're going to get hit. Let me tell you about ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet has saved their clients more than $2.6 million in ransom last year alone. And get this. ThrottleNet clients have never paid a dime in ransomware. Let me say that again. They've never paid a dime because they are protected. No contracts. Leave anytime you want. You have to check these guys out. You'll find them at throttlenet.com to protect your business, to protect everything you have. Go to throttlenet.com.
With all life's unexpected turns lately, Mercy thought you'd like to know what you can expect when you return to us for care. You'll see us rigorously disinfecting, social distancing, and requiring masks for all patients, visitors, and coworkers. As a leader in virtual care, Mercy also offers video visits. Get tips for your next visit at mercy.net/safecare. Visit mercy.net/safecare. At Mercy, your safe life is our life's work.
Someday, 2020 will be history. Until then, keep it here for the latest in what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk. Information with perspective.
The castle doctrine. That's your home. And not necessarily property, because your home is your property or your car is your property.
So that was a caller from earlier in the show. We had a really good conversation, and there's a lot of misunderstanding or lack of understanding. Certainly my problem, because I am no legal expert. I am a expert on making jelly, because that's happening in my house right now. I am an expert on tying shoes. I am an expert on a few things, but the castle doctrine does not happen to, in fact, be one of those. We are going to talk now to the Missouri Attorney General, Eric Schmitt, who joins us, and you are everywhere right now. We are very grateful that you snuck in a couple minutes here with us on the Annie Frey Show, Attorney General. Thank you so much for the time.
Good to be back.
Thank you. I want to ask you about the castle doctrine. A lot of people are saying they were on their porch. The protesters were on the street. Yeah, it was a private street, but the castle doctrine doesn't apply. Attorney General, does it apply? Tell us, educate us on this issue.
It absolutely applies. And I think the thing that's important to keep in mind here is that we have a very deeply rooted appreciation for the fundamental right of self-defense in this country. It's a fundamental right people enjoy. It predates government. It predates the Constitution. Our founders believed it was a natural right. So you have the Second Amendment in the Missouri Constitution. It's certainly mentioned, even in our first Constitution in 1820. It's been expanded as recently as 2014 by a wide majority of Missourians. And so, you've got that fundamental right of self-defense that plays out in the Constitution and also in our statutes, when the castle doctrine is one of those statutes that essentially says that if you're threatened, you have the right on your property to defend your life, the lives of your family members, your home. You have the right to defend your home and your property. This is a private street. They have no business being in that area on that street. It's a private street, so it's private property. And so the castle doctrine certainly applies. And it goes even further, actually. So the charge that was issued by the circuit attorney, the castle doctrine is not even like an affirmative defense. It just means it's not a crime. And so the fact that these charges were brought is concerning, because it has implications beyond even just this case. If Missourians feel like, in a high-profile case like this, that a rogue prosecutor can charge them with a crime for exercising a fundamental right that's in our Constitution, that can have a chilling effect. And that's why I felt it was important for me to say enough is enough and step in as the state's chief law enforcement officer get into this case and seek a dismissal of this case.
We're speaking with Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmitt. We're curious about what does this look like? The last time we had you on, I think last week, you were very respectful of charges hadn't been filed yet, and saying this was a matter for Kim Gardner. At this point in time, it's clear that after the charge has come out, that status quo has changed. What does this process look like going forward after Kim Gardner has made this charge and you have decided to step into this situation yourself?
Yeah, so presumably, the McCloskys are represented. We don't represent the McCloskys. I'm entering the case on behalf of Missourians. And so we're going to make the case that, the Castle Doctrine is broad and expansive and does not allow these charges to be brought, and therefore they should be dismissed. And so this is going to play out over, I'm sure, several weeks. I didn't want to comment too much on it before the charges were actually filed, but now that they are filed, it's totally appropriate to come in and, again, protect the rights of Missourians to defend themselves. And this is all going on. The backdrop here, of course, Annie, is that you've got calls to defund the police. You've got spiking violent crime rates across the country. And here in Missouri and in St. Louis, where there's been over 130 murders. And Kim Gardner has an abysmal record when it comes to prosecuting violent crime, but has somehow found the time in the interest to target law-abiding citizens for exercising their Second Amendment rights. It's wrong, and which is why, as AG, I felt an obligation to step in here.
Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmitt is on the phone with us. Eric, as far as this being, a big story and us learning how this process works, if you would be stepping in here, is this precedented? Has this happened in Missouri before, where an attorney general has had to step into a case like this, or is this precedented nationwide? Has it happened in other states?
Oh no, it happened. I mean, this is not an unusual circumstance in that sense. And that, interestingly, by way of history, attorneys general have powers, common law powers that predate our Constitution. And so a lot of the things that we get involved with are sort of protecting the fundamental rights of Missourians when collectively those are threatened. And here is my firm belief that because of it's a high profile case, because the law is so clear here, this is not a close call, that you've got a prosecutor trying to score political points and engaging in a political prosecution that, by the way, involves 4 years of jail time potentially. That it's serious enough for us to enter this case, file the briefs, and seek a dismissal. But briefs like this are filed. We engage in amicus brief filings across the country on issues that we believe are going to affect Missourians. I think it's just because this one's so high profile. And it's true that the local prosecutor has original jurisdiction here, essentially, to make charging decisions. But that's not the end of the conversation. When you move forward on something like this, with it being so political, highly charged, and political prosecution, as I mentioned, it's totally appropriate for us to be in this case and make the case on behalf of Missourians.
Attorney General, I want to ask you, I've gotten this question a lot, and I have no idea what the answer is. I have a suspicion about the way with which Kim Gardner has chosen to prosecute, not to prosecute. Is there any amount of like political negligence that can be assigned to an individual in her position, where a vote of no confidence can take place, or like some sort of effort outside of an election, which is how you do replace people in office that you don't like? You get a better option, you put someone else in there. Is there any possible repercussion for Kim Gardner based on how she's really being negligent with her office in St. Louis?
I mean, she's a duly elected, local prosecutor. And I think that you hit on something that a lot of people maybe even nationally aren't that aware of, that she's got a primary election in 2 weeks. So in addition to the sort of series of political decisions she's made as a prosecutor that don't square up with the law, the timing of this, of course, is interesting because of the political dynamic that exists for her in 2 weeks. So I think the best way for us to proceed here is that we're going to do everything we can to protect the interests of Missourians. I'll give you another example. Is I reached out to her early on. I was been Attorney General for about 1 year and 7 months or so. Early on, said, and I'm from the St. Louis region, so I care deeply about people feeling safe in the area that I grew up in. And reached out, hey, let's work together on taking on violent crime. And it's just crickets. There's just no effort to work together. We've been working with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and she has original jurisdiction on, state crimes, violent crimes, carjackings, murders, all that. But the crimes that we can prosecute, the violent crimes we can prosecute with the U.S. Attorney's Office, we're doing that. And we're talking about, hundreds of those kinds of indictments and charges that through that cooperative effort with the U.S. Attorney's Office, we're able to do. But, it shouldn't be that difficult. But she, this is the path that she has chosen. And, but I'm not going to back down. If you're going to be prosecuting law-abiding citizens for, again, exercising fundamental rights, there's a role for the state's attorney general to play, and that's why we're in the case.
Attorney General, one last question before we let you go, because we know you're on a time crunch. The McCloskeys have been thrust into the national spotlight. Definitely their character has been in question, under assault in many capacities throughout the course of this discussion. Do the McCloskeys, after, potentially they have to be pardoned by the governor, do the McCloskeys have any legal recourse, even in civil court, against Kim Gardner if they choose to take that path?
I will let her legal team or their legal team devise their strategy, because I don't represent them.
Can one person sue Kim Gardner?
There's issues of prosecutorial immunity that are involved. It gets a little bit complicated, but clearly, for whatever reason, those on the left who are, again, so adamant about defunding the police are perfectly happy with persecuting and prosecuting law-abiding citizens who are trying to protect their property. And the founders knew that the first line of defense, because the government's not always going to be there, right? And it may not even be there in time, is self-defense. And there have been times in our nation's history, including, before the Civil War and after the Civil War, where these Second Amendment protections are really important to prevent mob violence. And so anyway, it's a deeply rooted fundamental right that we have to self-defense that we're pointing out in these filings with the court that need to be recognized. And one of the reasons why this case should be dismissed.
Well, Attorney General Eric Schmitt, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing how this unfurls, and we're grateful you're involved.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. Talk to you soon.
You as well. At Eric_Schmitt on Twitter, if you want to follow him. He's been tweeting quite a bit on this issue, so you can kind of get the minute by minute, or just turn on your television somewhere and he'll be there, because the dude is everywhere and it is awesome. Good to see some common sense on behalf of the state of Missouri, paralleling the Kim Gardner story that's out there and the McCloskey story. I'm grateful that he's involved. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, do we have Tony Colombo in studio?
We have Tony.
Did you
in studio
take him hostage?
I did.
You did?
I did.
And we got him.
I really wasn't going to say that, but
Katie rolls like that. She's got a dog now, so she's just like, I'm going to take care of business, and I'm going to name my dog Marty, and we're going to talk a little bit about it when we come back. And I'm going to show you a picture on our live stream, and we'll have Tony Colombo with some signs of the apocalypse, as if we aren't living in them all the time, just to highlight a few. Tony Colombo when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
For the last time you will kiss my lips, now shut up and let me go. Your jeans
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Shut up and let me go. Hey!
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air conditioner tune-ups are recommended each year to keep your cooling system running efficiently, prevent repairs, and extend its life. Schedule your AC tune-up and get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
They're lurking in your basement, in the garage, unwanted appliances. But how do you get rid of them? Most haulers charge you money, but not D&D Free Appliance Hauling. Just call D&D at 314-249-2951 to schedule your free pickup. D&D Free Appliance Hauling will come to your home and remove your unwanted washers, dryers, fridges, stoves, dishwashers, and freezers fast and free. That's D&D Free Appliance Hauling, serving St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Lincoln County, and the surrounding areas. When you want to get rid of your unwanted appliances, don't pay for it. Call D&D Free Appliance Hauling and let them come pick it up free. 314-249-2951. 314-249-2951. 314-249-2951. D&D Free Appliance Hauling, 314-249-2951.
I love the word clearance. And if you were looking for the summer clearance event on a vehicle, it's at Cassens Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Been in the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area since 1933. They know their stuff. They have deep roots in the Metro East, and the word is kind of getting out about Cassens, and people are starting to come from the other side of the river. Yes, you Missouri people coming to the Illinois side of the river. That's crazy talk, isn't it? I know. I've been here my whole life. That river, that bridge, it goes two ways. If you are looking for the very best deal in the area on a Dodge, a Chrysler, a Jeep, a Ram vehicle, I want you to make sure that you check out the summer clearance event at Cassens. You can go online and at cassenscan.com and find out more about what kind of deals are available to you. But I promise you, you are not going to get better service anywhere than you are at Cassens. That's why I am a repeat customer there. That's why I take my cars there to get serviced, because they do it the right way, and it shows since 1933. Online at cassenscan.com.
America chooses this year. Are we the America we've known and loved? A country founded on liberty, built with faith, vision, and hard work? Or do we let the socialist, rioters, and anarchists win? Our Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer still believes in our America, and Blaine recognizes the foolishness of the radical left's plan to defund the police.
Our process is to have the people there to enforce the law. And without that, our vulnerable population will be very vulnerable, because it makes no sense.
Blaine Luetkemeyer knows what it takes to get the economy back to full speed post-China virus.
Less regulations, lower taxes, and you saw the economy rebound at an almost historic pace. We wound up with 1.2 million more jobs than we had people to fill them.
Our Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer is a constitutional conservative on the right side of history, right side of law and order, right side of good-paying jobs, right side of American greatness.
I'm Blaine Luetkemeyer, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Blaine for Congress.
Marc Cox here. If you need to drop a few pounds, call my friends at Slim 180. Get back in shape, feel great, keep the weight off. You can use their traditional program, the medically supervised HCG Rapid Weight Loss, or the new Quick Start Lipolean. I use the HCG Rapid Weight Loss program, and the weight dropped off in a hurry, sometimes 1.5 pounds a day. All the Slim 180 centers are following COVID-19 guidelines to keep you safe. They've got gloves and masks and plexiglass dividers. You work with their counselors and their doctors one-on-one, either in person or remotely. They can even mail you products or have curbside pickup. You can schedule your free consultation today. They also work with flex spending and health savings account cards. 6 locations: O'Fallon, St. Charles, Sunset Hills, Creve Coeur, Chesterfield, and Florissant. Visit them online today and set up your initial appointment at myslim180.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Marc McCloskey.
Everybody that was in front of my house is an admitted trespasser. No one to my knowledge has been charged for that. Only person on Portland Place who's facing charges for anything regarding June 28th are my wife and myself.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
And he knows it's gone. Don't wait for another. Falling he goes, and he cries all night.
Man, you gotta see this puppy. Do you see this puppy?
Looks like a fluffy little animal.
Oh, there's a little Marty right there, and I'm so excited for Marty. I think I need to make a snuggle appointment. for
You
that
do.
doggy.
He is, I don't know how else to describe him, but a little squish. Like,
Yeah.
he is just really dopey right now.
That's how people describe babies too.
Yes. He is very just like dopey and clumsy. And yeah, it just is. I've never dealt with something like this before. So it's going to be interesting.
It's good. And you've got the thing that I'm really excited for you guys is that you have the time, the resources, the inclination to like actually do this the right way. and focus on this, which is going to be exciting. So Katie got how old is little Marty?
He is 8 weeks.
8 weeks old.
Yes.
And he's just real snuggly and he's real cute. And we've got a picture of him up on our Facebook Live right now, facebook.com/Annie Frey Show. Or if you prefer, you can go to our YouTube Live on the Annie Frey YouTube page and you can see Katie snuggling this little man. And so I got to ask you before we get to Tony Colombo here, how often are you getting up at night to let Marty out?
He was a good boy last night. He was a good boy.
Who's
a good boy? He only cried out and whined twice.
Marty.
Marty.
Oh, I was talking to you.
He only cried about twice. And that's because there was a big thunderstorm last night. So he slept all through the night. He's been doing well. The potty training, of course, is difficult right now, but we will get there. He's very, very sleepy all the time. Not what I expected.
It'll be fun. You're gonna have once you get used to the waking up and letting them out, make sure they don't pee all over. Then you'll get used to it, and then they grow out of it, and you potty train them, and then it's just all snuggles. Except for from what I hear, this dog is going to be large. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's going to be a big boy. I think his dad was 70 pounds. His mom was 50 pounds.
Yeah,
so he's going to be big.
Fantastic. Tony Colombo is in studio with us. Hi, Tony.
My tripod just broke.
Oh,
I'm really mad.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I know. It's messing up my
mojo.
Messing up my mojo. Yeah,
you got a busy week hosting the DGS.
Yeah, I am hosting the DGS all week. Dave is taking a very rare extended vacation, well deserved. And I will be sitting in the big chair all week. Rachel and Andrew are here, of course.
Is the chair actually larger?
Sue, I don't know. You've seen
Should be.
Yeah, right. It feels like it is. That's for sure. But Sue is out as well. She's on vacation this week also. But we are bringing you the standard DGS fare
Tony,
all week long.
Miming with Rachel and Andrew.
Yeah.
How can you turn that down?
Yeah, in just a bit, we're going to be talking to Libertarian presidential candidate Dr. Joe Jorgensen on the show. So something to stick around for.
Sweet.
Yeah. Really
fantastic. Anything else you want to pitch before we get to
no,
sign to the
that's
apocalypse?
all. I just
For
my arm
4
is hurting.
hours.
My arm is hurting because I am holding this phone up, this camera up, without the use of the tripod. So stick with me here. It's going to be a little bit shaky.
Now, signs of the apocalypse on the Annie Frey Show.
I forgot we were doing that. Scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's a little shaky. Sorry. Here we go. Bars in New York are trying to get around the new rule that they have to serve food with alcohol by offering tiny portions. So,
I love this story.
Yeah, you're not allowed to stay open in New York as a bar unless you serve food. So what they're doing is they're offering things like chips, grapes,
Smart.
a single chicken wing.
Lovely. How much is it?
A handful of croutons.
Oh my gosh.
And one bar offers 9 French fries.
9?
Yes.
Why not 10?
10's a party.
Make it even.
I don't know. Many of them are popping up on like dollar menus.
It's probably like, you limit, you can only have 50 people together. Maybe Cuomo has put a 10 fry limit.
Maybe.
It's like
Maybe
a
that's
family
it.
reunion for my house.
Yeah, 9 fries for $1. Handful of croutons. The croutons are my favorite. Yeah.
I was gonna say my kids would be up for that. There's nothing like a crouton for a kid. You get a salad and you're like, can I have a crouton? You're like, no, it's the best part.
That's a good part.
The salad is just here to be healthy. I'm actually here for the croutons and the cheese.
A cricket match in England had a short delay on Sunday after a player spit on the ball to get a better grip, which is very normal in sports.
Oh.
The umpires, however, had to stop the game and disinfect the ball. This reminds me of, I don't know if we talked about this on this show or not, the wet rag rule in Major League Baseball this year. They
I don't know what you're talking
are
about.
allowing, or at least they were discussing it, and I believe it's been allowed.
So that they
this
don't lick
year.
their hands?
Right. Pitchers are
Because
allowed
pitchers lick their hands
all the
83
time.
times before they pitch the ball.
All the time. And his OCD and as much of a germaphobe as I am, when I played sports,
That's part
I
of the process.
constantly licked or spit in my hands.
And the pitchers don't even realize that they're doing it when
Exactly.
they do it. It's just it's part of the.
So what they're
thing.
being allowed to do this year is they're allowed to put a wet rag in their back pocket. So the pitchers are allowed to put a wet rag in their back pocket, and already like retired pitchers have come out and said like, good luck, everybody. There's gonna be a lot more water on those in that rag. If you're
And they're still gonna lick their hands.
And they're still gonna lick their hands
Because they're
it's
gonna lick their
habit.
hands.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's a habit. But yeah, they're not supposed to lick their hands and then pitch the ball, so they're allowed to have a wet rag and
Skip Schumacher.
Yeah.
I feel like Gridzolonic.
always
I feel
slid
like
into first base head first, and I just
that after he would have
stop
to
it.
reassess
Oh,
every bit
yeah,
of
every
his
pitch.
stance. He'd snap his gloves on 7 times. I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
what it was, but there was a thing.
no every pitch.
If one
Readjust.
of those things would have been a hand lick, maybe it was. Maybe he spit into his hands.
a
I
good
don't
point.
think he'd be able to hit the ball.
No, that's a great point. Great point. So we'll see how that works out for Major League Baseball this year, and it actually stopped a cricket match in England earlier this week. Someone just discovered Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. That's not the sign of the apocalypse. The rest of it is. They went viral. This person went viral in their campaign against Adult Swim. This woman tweeted this week, quote, Cartoon Network after hours. They throw it in your face. They hope you aren't the kind of parents who monitors what your kids watch and do. They're busy conditioning them. And after getting blasted on Twitter, she said, quote, when the darkness is exposed, the demons start panicking.
Oh my
She then took her
gosh.
account private, which is sort of ironic. Cartoon Network has been airing a mature content warning before every show on Adult Swim since 2001.
Forever.
I was in high school.
2001.
That and the Alanis Morissette
And-
Jagged Little Pill.
And it's called Adult Swim.
Yes.
And it's on in the middle of the night because it's for adults. And she has gone viral in this campaign to try to eliminate Adult Swim.
I am not a fan
so it
of the
doesn't
term
poison your children.
Karen, but
You know what? I'm so glad you said that because when I read this story, she was labeled as a Karen, and I didn't want to use that in the story because I hate that.
I hate it.
I do too. I hate
But
it.
I'm trying to figure out how to sum up my feelings.
But yeah,
in less words.
But this is if we're gonna call a
I
Karen,
feel sorry for the
this
Karens
is a
of the
Karen.
world, the non-real Karens.
Yeah,
The ones that are just like, I'm a nice person. I'm a good.
I said this. I was in a comment
Human?
thread. Somebody had gone on a vacation and they didn't get what they expected, and they're like, "Should I complain about it or should I not complain about it? I don't know what to do." And I wrote that being
Drop my car.
I said,
What
being
I
a
do.
Karen, it's not about what you do. It's an attitude. It's like you can if you've got a hair in your salad and you ask the manager to come address the fact that you have some unwelcomed thing in the food that you paid for, don't be a witch about it. And that's what you're supposed to do. That you paid for something. You're making a transaction. You have the right to have that situation rectified. It's how you do it that makes you one of them. And yeah, don't be that person. Just be nice. Be kind. Do what Ellen
Summarizing
says. She's
that
real
type of
kind.
person is like, it's so hard not to identify as a Karen right now, though. We're trying real
Right.
hard.
And they
Right.
all look like Kate plus 8.
And in
Why
this,
is it not
yeah,
a Kate?
in this story, it was Kate plus 8. Ugh. My wife was a huge fan of hers.
No,
back in
can't
the
do it.
day. No, I'm with you. She turned on her after her.
So did everybody else.
After her true
So did
colors.
her- so did John, her husband.
Yeah. After her true colors were exposed, but Natalie from Facts of Life
Facts of Life.
Yeah, sang backup on Michael Jackson's PYT, along with Janet Jackson. Mindy Cohen was in a chat at a virtual dance party on Twitch this weekend. That sentence alone.
Oh God, that sounds like the worst thing in the world.
That
What's
sentence alone needs a lot of unpacking. Mindy Cohen was in a chat during a virtual dance party on Twitch this weekend.
I only dance with former members of the Facts of Life
Do
virtually.
any of you three,
What's a virtual dance party on Twitch?
do any of you three
And why was
utilize
Mindy Cohen
Twitch
in it?
at all?
No.
I'm interested in it, but my hands
Yeah.
are full.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Add
Katie?
one more thing on.
Yeah, no, I get
This
it.
is where Katie's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, go on vacation, make it stop."
Anyway,
Twitch? Could we
so
do Twitch?
Mindy Cohen's
How about
in this,
NBC?
Mindy Cohen's in this virtual dance party on Twitch this weekend when the song PYT came on, and she said, "quote Me and Janet, we are the and I'm the kids at the end too." So she said, "Me and Janet were a part of the chorus, I guess," and she said that she's part of the kids at the end of the song too. The voices that you can hear. She said that her and Janet Jackson went to listen to the recording, and Quincy Jones just put a mic in front of them. And then she said, it's, quote, kind of wild. There she is.
There she is.
Yeah, if you're watching on,
Like that
on the
purple hair.
stream.
If you couldn't
there's
remember
Mindy
which one
Cohen.
Natalie was, I wasn't 100% sure, but there she be.
She was in the song PYT. One last one real quick here. According to a recent study that I don't believe, nearly 1 in 7 men are turned on by Alexa's voice.
Oh gosh.
That's a lot of men.
I can assume a lot of what's the
No,
number?
I'm not buying it. 1 in 7.
I can assume a
Nearly
lot of
1
other
in
things
7.
about those.
A
men.
company that makes products for
I won't tell
a mature customer base just released results from a survey that states 14% of men admitted that they get turned on by Alexa's voice.
Ugh.
No.
A survey where they
Barf.
surveyed 7 men.
Yeah,
And one of them was
exactly.
And
weird.
they found one. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
All right, Tony
Not buying
Colombo coming up next, hosting
Yes,
the
sir.
Dave Glover Show. Make sure you're streaming at radio.com. You can go to search 97.1 FM Talk, and I will shut up, and Tony will start talking. And that's just magical like that. Thank you, Tony, for coming in. Always great to have you back.
Thank you.
And our podcast available at radio.com as well. Thank you for tuning in. DGS coming up next.
So beat the drum with me.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Window World. So Window World